Hi guys, and welcome to tonight's A14ka5am Academy. As you guys know, I am joined tonight by Kainoa Harbottle. Guys, thank you so much for joining us this evening. I know that you're in for a treat. For anybody that saw yesterday's live, that was just a small sample of what is in store for you this evening. Lots of amazing coin magic. There's going to be some card magic as well, but lots of talk about theories, approaches, and lots of great stuff. As per usual, we do have several people that are doing different jobs this evening. We have Sarah that is manning the chat room. Say hello, Sarah.
Hello.
There we go. She's on her lonesome this evening, but I know she'll do a stellar job, so that'll be fine. We have Chris that is going to be recording this evening and manning the cameras, and our studio audience as well. Hello, studio audience. There we go. Yeah, they're all raring to go. Yeah, they're all there. So that's cool. We do also have a dedicated Facebook group this evening. That should appear now, as if by magic. So that is running across the top, the bottom there. Please join the Facebook group. Go on there, have a look at it, ask questions, put any comments you want to put. We love to hear from you always. So that is there for you guys to check out. On the subject of comments, we also obviously have the chat room open. Sarah will be fielding those, so if you have questions throughout the evening, then please feel free to ask them, and Sarah will come to us with those. And also any comments you may have, any reviews that you want to put up, you're in for a chance of winning a deck of Academy Elites, as always. That we'll choose a winner at the end of the night. But yeah, your reviews count, so please talk about what you see tonight. So that's enough from me. We're going to have a brief chat with Kainoa.
Yes.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, I'm very conscious about pronouncing this correctly throughout the whole evening, even though yesterday we spent some time together.
Yeah.
You lectured at our club. I'm still very conscious about pronouncing the name correctly. So tell us a little bit about yourself. For people that may not be familiar with your work, what kind of got you interested in magic, first off?
Well, I was always a performer. When I was a kid, I started doing drama when I was in kindergarten.
Right.
I still remember the first play I was ever in, actually. And by 5th and 6th grade, I was the only child who knew what spirit gum was.
Right.
And owned a fake mustache.
Right.
Because I was in a lot of plays where I was the only person who could do the villain.
Right.
As I had the evil laugh down as a little kid for some reason. And so I was always a performer. And then I had an English teacher in 8th grade who, by the name of Brad Kerwin, and he would occasionally do card tricks.
Right.
And he was very much a performer, and he could really sell the simplest card trick.
Right.
And we all got into it. He could take a key card trick and make it play for 20, 30 minutes. I mean,
right.
It was absolutely amazing. And so a bunch of us got together with him and started working on magic. And we actually called ourselves the Magic Mafia. I don't think you could call yourselves that nowadays. But and we went around, we did birthday parties, we did shows. It was a lot of fun.
Right.
And so we do comedy, because we do sketch comedy, and then we would do magic.
Right.
Then I just kind of kept going from there. I met a magician by the name of Curtis Cam. He had a show at the Halikoa Hotel, which was a dinner and a stage show. And he said, hey, you can obviously perform. I would love to give you more chance to do so. And why don't you come and do table hopping? So right. I did table hopping at his show.
Right.
So I was kind of thrown in very early on before really knowing a lot of sleight of hand, doing a lot of difficult things. I was kind of thrown into situations where I had to perform very quickly. And I could feel that I need more material. That was the first thing I really was thinking. But so that's my background and how I got into it. So I was thrown into professional situations very quickly. Right.
My first exposure to your magic was via the Curtis Cam DVD, the
Yes.
Palms of Steel DVD,
Palms
number
Steel.
1.
Oh, yeah.
And if you've never seen it, as in all the rest of the Palms of Steel DVDs and others that are going to come up this evening, I'm sure, it really, that was my first, I think, real exposure to what the potential of what coin magic could look like.
Yeah.
I was familiar with David Ross' work, very, very good, obviously, but this was an entirely different league. It was it played bigger. It seemed to very much play bigger. It's a cracking set of DVDs. The first one is amazing. I still use the 2 of the routines out of that DVD set, but that exposed me to your kind of performing style. and you know, because I keep saying it, and the guys are going to laugh as soon as I say this, that I'm a big fan. Get that out of the way before the comments start coming in. But and there's lots of different reasons that you're going to be exposed to this evening as to why I feel that way. I have here something that I mentioned yesterday at the lecture. This is Curtis's lecture notes, Coins on Edge, which is to do with a specific technique.
Yes.
Yes. Which is going to come up this evening.
Yes, of course. Yeah. We'll be talking about it.
Excellent. Okay. If you can get a hold of a set, then grab them. Just no matter how much they cost, just grab them. Yeah, that's my plug for the set.
Yes, you should do that. I agree.
Yeah. So I know that you guys out there at home are comfortable. You are, I'm sure, at the edge of your seat waiting to start. Yes, I'm getting a nod from Sarah. So Curtis is going to start off this. Curtis.
We'll get him.
I told you, didn't I?
I will get him to come next. I promise. I'll make sure that he.
I told you. See, that is the actual pronouncing it totally wrong, isn't it? So there we go.
It's all right.
Kainoa. There we go. Kainoa is going to go and perform for a studio audience. So if you want to make your way through,
all right.
So we'll just edit that out. You know, you'll never know. So was Kainoa is just doing that, guys. Check out the Facebook group. Please leave a review. You are in for a chance to win a deck of Academy Elites, and enjoy the evening. It's going to be a very, very good night. So we're good. Excellent. Okay, so we're going to go over to Kainoa in the studio audience.
Hi, folks. Oh, thank you. I'm Curtis Cam. It's great to be here tonight. No, I'm kidding. Oh, here. I brought something to show you all. Sir, have you ever seen one of these before?
No.
It's a cheap hand puppet. Hi, how are you today? No, I keep my props small. That way they're easier for me to carry around. Let me stretch this one out. Oh, make it a bit easier for you. See, it's an old silver $50 minted at the turn of the century. It's called a Barber half, named after Charles Barber, the gentleman who designed the coins. Now you can see how this coin sort of shines and glints in the light there. I can take a little bit of that shine off, give it a shake. And that gives me a second one like that. That's 1 and 2. Now, do you know why I carry 2? Sometimes I say his and hers. I don't know what it means. But actually, the reason I always have 2 is that way I can always hide a third one in between them. You just don't see that one to the very last second. It's okay, because if that one confused you, the thing that always confuses me is when I wave, I get 3 more. I don't know where they come from, quite frankly. No, I understand. It's 6 coins, and that's a lot of silver right there in front of you. And I know it can be difficult to follow sometimes, right? For instance, if you see me put all 6 of those coins in one hand, I can't possibly have 3 in each, right? Right, that makes perfect sense. And now wait, were you at the you weren't at the lecture, and you were at the lecture. That's right. Okay, if you see me put all 6 in this hand, it's impossible for me to have all 6 in the other hand. It doesn't work that way. I'm sorry, buddy. So it's confusing, right? Because it's just too many coins. It's too many coins. So I tell you what, let me get rid of one of them. I'll just do the magic with the 5 coins, just with 5, okay? Now, even with 5, because it's an odd number, it's a little bit probably easier to follow. So all you have to remember, how many do you see here? How many do you see here, sir?
3.
And how many do you see here, sir?
2.
So make sure you remember that. Don't get confused and think it's 2 over here and 3 over here. I mean, it can happen. It can happen. And I'm certain I know that there are 2 here and that there are 3 here, but then I close my hand and I think, well, sometimes it ends up being 4 and 1. And I get confused too. It just, I know, it's weird, isn't it? I tell you what, hold out your hand for me, sir. Hold out your hand. I'm going to put the 5 coins into your hand there. I'm going to remove one, close up your hand, turn it over. Keep that smile going there. Hold on tight. Make sure I can't sneak anything out, right? Or worse yet, make sure I can't sneak something in. Go ahead and spill the coins on the table. I'll stand over here so that you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that's the problem, right? It's too many coins. It's too many coins. Let me get rid of one of these because obviously, if we can't keep track of 5, we'll just do it with 4. That way, sometimes 4 is a little bit hard to follow, right? What I usually do with 4 is I cause the 4 to fly from one hand to the other. No, that's not it. I'm building the dramatic tension, right? What happens is they start here, they fly back. Now, I know that that's not fair. You didn't know exactly what they're going to do. We'll start again. Well, the problem is if I've already got one to go across, right, you're probably going to miss the moment when the second one goes. And if you miss the moment when the second one goes, you're probably going to miss the moment when the third one goes too. Did you hear the giggle in the other room? By the way, you can't probably hear the giggle, but there's like, there's a happiness. And he's just having a great time back there. See, and what you'd think is happening is that maybe I'm tossing the coins across when you're not looking, but I wouldn't do that. So let's start again. That's 1, that's 2, that's 3, that's 4. You know, if I've already snuck 1 over here, you know that means there have to be 3 over here. Well, if there are 2 in this hand, you know that means there have to be, what the, all right. Fine, don't worry about it. Look, obviously, see, it's like the coins are jumping back in time to where they were a moment before. So like, you know, deja vu. Anyway, we'll try to start again because all I really want to do is put the 4 coins in one hand and make them go across. But it's really hard. And it's really hard to follow too. So I tell you what, let me get rid of one of them. We'll just do the trick with 3. Because with 3 coins, we should be able to do this. In fact, you know what? Let's be even smarter than that. Let's try to get another one, get rid of another one. That way, I'll just do a trick with 2 coins for you. And if there's just 2, oh shoot, it's obviously going to be one of those nice. You know, you try to get one of them to go away, and then all of a sudden you still end up with the 3. Like, boy. You try to outsmart the coin sometimes. It's tough. You know, you put the 2 away, and then you know, you'll still end up having 3. And even I don't know how that part works. And you know, and you try to be smarter than the coins, right? You take the 1 coin out, right? You try to put it away. And the thing is, if you take the 1 coin out, you know there can't possibly just 1 coin, right? Because that wouldn't make any sense. And just a moment before, anyway, you saw 3. So you know, I tell you what, I get it's confusing. I tell you what, we'll start with the 3. They go into the hand. Well, even I'm now confused what to show you. I wanted to show you the trick with 6 coins. That's right. I wanted to show you the trick with 6 coins. So why don't I show you the trick with 6 coins? You know what? Let's just do a card trick instead. Let's do a card trick instead. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Wow. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
All right. So there we go. So that's a lot of coin magic.
It is a lot.
There are a lot of different things, parts of it that we can talk about that I'm more than happy to talk about in terms of whatever questions we get. Let me just talk about presentation first, and then I'll start to go into different techniques.
Okay.
The first thing to think about is the presentation, and it's stolen directly out of Bobos. In fact, the best part of Bobos, modern coin magic, is the part that most people never look at. The best part of Bobos is actually the section in the back.
Right.
And that's where you actually have routines put together. Mm-hmm. So let's say turn to page 97, turn to page 104, turn to page, and you build a routine.
Yeah.
And one of the routines that is back there is one by Milt Court, who's a he's a really amazing coin magician. Well, amazing magician in general, very amazing with coins. And in fact, if I don't know where a coin move comes from, I always just say it's Milt Court. It takes care of a lot of things. But he has a presentation called Too Many Coins.
Right.
And the idea is you do a trick that you like, and then you take 1 coin away. And then you do another trick with what remains, and you take 1 coin away. And it's a really great presentational way to combine a lot of things that don't necessarily usually go together.
Yeah.
It's a loose presentational concept that allows you to just stick a bunch of things together. So, you know, and like I talk about in my lecture throughout this whole trip, I do kind of look for a lot of take-home messages. Yeah. And for me, that too many coins works with too many cards, right? I mean, there's even the trick called Too Many Cards that I always did from Derek Dingle's book. That, you know, just getting it's a plot that can be easily used.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do what I did. You can put together whatever ones you want to put together.
Yeah.
So it's as a very light structure. It's a very fun way to do it. To do a routine, to put a routine together. So let me talk about this routine. I really did stick a lot of these things together to kind of focus in on certain moves. The first move I'll talk about is we're going to start. Okay, so I promise things will get easy as we go along, but we're going to start with something a little challenging, and we're going to go from there. All right. Just so I can explain for you the very first sequence. The very first sequence is these are 6 coins. The only thing I have in here is an expanded shell. And it's just hanging out. It's just kind of being there. It's not important for this first sequence. What you see me put those 3 coins into this hand, right? You see them all go in, and then they jump across. 3 of them. I know, it's painful. What's happening is what I call the push through steal. I published this a long time ago, but I like to show a lot of different variations on it, a lot of applications for it. It was published in Genie a while back. The idea behind the push through steel, it comes from a move from Shutogawa's Neo coin purse.
Right.
And it's something where he closes the purse, Neo purse frame. He closes the purse frame, and in the act of closing the purse frame, he does this push through, and he steals the coin out. And it was this neat idea, and I was like, well, can you do it with more coins? Can you make it look different? How can you make it work? And so this is what I came up with. I'll show you, and we can do this with the overhead camera, I think. This will be pretty cool. Oh, yeah, this is neat. Oh. All right, because it's actually kind of hard to show. So what's going to happen is I'm putting the coins into the hand, but when I put them into the hand, you can see that they're doing something strange. What they're resting on is my third finger as a shelf. So when they close up here. Now that allows me to square them as a stack a little bit, and what that allows me to do is hold them in curl palm, second finger curl palm. It's not like I'm supposed to be palming them. It's really the idea that I'm holding on to them in a fist, but nobody needs to know that they're all in curl palm at this point. I'm going to do two things simultaneously. The first thing I'm going to do is with my thumb, I'm going to push that stack right through, like a weird little silver tongue sticking itself out at the humans, right? It goes right at the audience. The same time that happens, the only way this can be interesting is that this hand's going to cross in front. And at the moment it does, this third finger is already curled, and the stack is just going to go right into nowhere palm. And the idea here is it's not like you start with a flat hand and then you come around and curl to steal. It's the idea that you're already a little curled so that the coins can just be accepted, right? It's like going into a little stash space. Now, of course, in order for this to work, it has to be done fairly swiftly. It doesn't look magical at all from there. So can we go back to the other angle now, please? Thank you. Now I feel better. Okay, good. So it's here, and in terms of speed, yeah, it happens very fast. Now, if I combine the other coins, these three are just going to sit here at the bottom. I kind of hold them in a slightly lower finger palm, and now these three go on top in the same position as I was showing you before, and then I can just steal the three. And they see the three go in, and now it's like that moment of resetting, right? I mean, I had three in each hand. I put three clearly in this hand, and then bam, I'm back to where we were before. Mm-hmm. So now you're going to hit them in the head again. You're going to do the same move, but with 6 coins. Now you don't have to do this, right? I'll show you some other applications for this. Those 6 coins go into the hand, and what I do is when I put the 6 are already here. As they flop over, I put them. You can go ahead and do the overhead shot again now. As they flop over, I'm just going to abuse this overhead shot. This makes me so happy. It's going to rest, that whole stack that's already in this hand is going to rest right there on top of that third finger. And then these 3 are going to go right on top of it. And now when you do the push through, you square it all up, and you can see by actually the size of the stack in my hands that that 6 coins really don't fit in curl palm for me. This one's kind of loosey-goosey on top. So that's a technical term, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you do the same move as the hand. The hand just put those 3 coins in. The hand's going to transfer in front, and it pushes out. You grab the whole stack, as much of the stack as possible. I really don't even grab that top coin. In fact, sometimes when I do this, that top coin gets stuck behind, and it can get a little dicey. But you practice it enough, you can get that push all the way through. And now what they see is they saw 6 coins in this hand. Now they see all 6 over here. Now that's a lot of magic. That's a lot. You don't need to do this if you want to play with the push through steel, right? Let me show you a couple applications.
And can I just ask here, because I'm sure this is the bane of most coin workers, is that sometimes you get the clamminess in your hands,
yeah,
and the friction doesn't allow these to go through smoothly.
Yeah.
Do you have? Because I'm sure this is going to come up this evening from someone. Do you have any tips for kind of avoiding that, or do you just go with it?
Okay, so I'm a little weird. In as much as, and I don't know if you've interviewed Shoot Ogawa here.
Not yet.
Okay, because he and I have talked about this, so you can ask him about this as well. So I'm naturally tacky. I am, and but I also have the ability to make my palms sweat at will.
Right.
And Shoot can do this also. because he mentioned it once in passing in a lecture, and he doesn't talk about it, and everyone's thinking maybe he doesn't really speak English or something like that. People are just confused when he says it. But I went up to him afterwards, like, you can do that too? And he's like, oh yeah, I just make it. I'm like, I can do that too. I was like meeting somebody else. Anyway. I wasn't the only freakazoid. Anyway, so I kind of go with it. I am naturally tacky. And if you want to feel my sweaty palms, you can. Don't do that. Oh, jeez Louise. He went for it. He almost went for it. Don't touch the sweaty hand. So I'm just, it's a little bit of moisture, and so that's all I need. Now, when I do the push through, there is a scary moment where when it goes through, it is really just the momentum that is keeping those coins in place.
Yeah.
So there is a little bit of air there.
Yeah.
In between, so you can see that this finger is actually up a little bit, right? I mean, there's an air, and there's also a little bit of air on the bottom. I didn't realize how, until you asked me this question, I never really think about the tackiness of it going through. But yeah, this is precarious. Yeah, you got to be really careful. But you see, I mean, we can do it from the top again. I'm sorry, we're just going to keep doing that. You can see that thumb plants on the entire stack, right? I mean, it is planted, so that's what's keeping that stack square. It's not like the fingers. I have to keep the index finger and the middle finger tight as well to keep the coins in place. It really is the momentum of the coin of the thumb keeping the stack in place that allows it to be done.
Yeah, so you're preventing as much of these two fingers holding the coins there as possible.
Exactly. Yeah. So that little gap, you really play to that gap. Some of the obvious applications of this are that you don't have to steal them all. Mm-hmm. You can show 3 coins, right? And I can show both hands clean, and I can say, you can see me put the 3 coins into this hand. I can show this hand empty to reconfirm that the 3 coins are there. I can even flash 3 coins because I have a shell going right now. I forgot about it. And now I can make one go across. So you don't have to steal 3. You can steal 1. And I'll show you the technique for this because it's kind of fun. You have the stack sort of in a low finger palm, and you just push up the top coin. Yeah, there you go. And you clip it. So it's ready. It's pretty much in position, ready to go. And so this is all obviously done as you're kind of jingling the coins, and bam, I'm in position already, right? I'm there. So now when I push through, all I do is push through that top one, and I can flash 3 because I have a shell. Or I mean, this is even including with just 3 coins, right? If the audience sees 3 coins go in, you say, look, they're all going to start here, and now one's going to go across. Right? I mean, that's a very strong way to start with a coin, the first coin. So the other fun application for this, if, let's see over here, just out of frame are just piles of coins, just so you know. They're laughing because it's true. You can start out with this, with a copper-silver trick. I have a Chinese coin and a silver coin. Hi. So I have a Chinese coin and a silver coin. Sir, do me a favor. We're going to do magic with one of these. Which one would you like us to do the magic with, the silver coin or the Chinese coin?
Chinese one.
The Chinese one. Excellent. So do me a favor. Go ahead and hold out your hand for me, please. I'm going to give you the Chinese coin. You squeeze onto it tightly. Turn your hand over. That leaves me with just the $50, right? $50 starts here. All I have to do is give a little rub. Boop, boop, boop. That leaves me with the Chinese coin. I did magic with the Chinese coin as you asked, which means you have to have now the $50. Take a look. Yeah.
Lots of vanishing acts.
So now this is the same, but this is the same principle, slightly modified, right? So I have a shell that fits on both the $50 and the Chinese coin.
Right.
So this is my starting point. I come out very clean, shell and silver coin, right? I do the easiest unnesting in the world, and that's where you just finger palm the shell and just drop the coin from inside, boom. And now you're going to do a really, really fun move called the fingertip utility pass. Most of the time when you see people do utility passes, right, it's a display down here, and then here, right? So I'm holding out 1 over here you don't know about. 1, 2, 3. Now there's 3, right? So bad magic, good magic, right? So, but you can do it at the fingertips as well. And what happens is that these are the regular coins here. This is the silver and the Chinese. My shell is just hanging out over here, just in a loose, like fingertip rest. I'm going to bring this fan over to this hand, and it's going to look like I transfer the fan, but I just switched out the silver coin on the bottom.
Right.
Because as you tilt down, and you can do this move all day long. You just go back and forth. And you can do overhead shot again for me, please. What you're doing is that as you tilt the edges of the coin towards the audience, and that kind of reaches just about the edges of the audience's eyes as the hands come together. And at that moment, you just, with your middle finger, hold on to that coin that's at the bottom, the silver coin, and place the Chinese coin right on top of the shell. So we're here and here. And again, so if you go back to the front, I mean, I can just sit here. I mean, this is bad magic, but I can sit here and just talk about them all day long. And it looks like a very clear, I'm showing you 2 coins, and I'm showing you 2 coins. And people don't know that things are getting switched in and out.
It's very disarming.
It's very disarming. This is Mike Gallo's. This is a Mike Gallo move, and he's got some really crazy. He's got some crazy applications for it as well. But it's for all the tricks that nowadays are being done up at chest level. It makes sense that if you're going to be up here, there's no reason to then drop down and then do this, right? Mm-hmm. If you're going to stay up here at chest level to show a lot of magic if you're doing stand up, then it makes sense to do your utility pass like that. Just at the fingertips, right? So, back to this application for this. This is just about trying to get back to this application for the push through. So I'm going to palm off the shell, drop the real coin there on top. I'll have the shell here, fan here, and I ask them which coin they would like me to do the magic with. Whatever they say, I'm going to give them the Chinese coin. Right. And you can just fudge with that a little bit. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach over, pretend to grab the Chinese coin, and as I do that, the Chinese coin just nests inside the shell, right? So there, put the real $50 goes into their hand. I'll leave it in the frame. There we go. Now you have a very clean display, right? Mm-hmm. Because you have a expanded shell on top of a Chinese coin, and it balances nicely because there's a hole. That's why I do it with a Chinese coin, by the way, because I want this to be just a little nesting moment there. Now what happens is this: we do the overhead shot again. I really didn't think I didn't think I was going to use it that much, but boy, here we go. So I'm going to put this coin in the hand, but I'm not really going to put it in the hand like it doesn't just go flat. Okay, I'm going to put this is the Chinese coin with the shell, right? It's going to go. I put it right into second finger curl palm, so it's right there. And notice that means that if you put the coin in this way, right, there's a chance that what's going to happen, and what you want it to do is you want the Chinese coin to fall out, to fall into the hand. So it goes here. You just allow gravity. You hold on to the Chinese coin, and now you do the push through steel with the shell. And now they have this it's this crazy moment of isolation. They see that coin go in, rub, and then the change has already happened.
Yeah,
and you're done.
Can we just see that the change element of that just from the front camera?
Sure. So, let me see. So I'm here.
Yeah.
Goes in. See that coin go in there? Changes.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Yeah, it's a kind of a quick and dirty. Mm-hmm. In terms of most copper silvers, there's so much stuff that you have to get into in order to get into that moment. Yeah. This is like so quick and dirty. I feel guilty for doing it sometimes because it's like bam, change, okay, bye. It's very efficient. So again, that's just another application for the push through. One more application for the push through, and then I'll stop. And we can take some questions. I imagine the questions are, when's he going to stop talking about the push through steel?
No.
Good. The other application is that if it doesn't have the coins, don't have to go through the first and second fingers. They can actually also go through the second and third fingers. Now, what this allows you to do is a couple things. There's a lot of classic wipes where you start with a stack in classic palm, you show this hand empty, and you do a little rub with the hand, you do a little brush here, and you transfer over, and there's all these crazy things. What I was looking for was a changeover that would keep the coins pretty much in the same palm position in both hands.
Right.
So you start with a stack in nowhere palm. I can rub here. This is just kind of like making sure, okay, let me make sure I'm warmed up here. And as I come down, I just push through. And the steel's done. And again, this is bad magic, but you can sit here all night and just kind of give it a little rub. And it's just like a way to warm up. I usually just transfer it once because that shows both hands empty, but I'm holding out a huge stack. That was that. And then there's other like live action ways you can do it where you can start out as an opener. And remind me to come back to that. I meant to say that first, actually. You notice that there's a whole production sequence that we started with.
Yeah.
And productions are very important to me. But I want to come back to that because productions are also a little more difficult. So we're going to get there.
Okay.
But as a changeover, like it's an action changeover where I can say I have nothing here, right? I have nothing here. I wave, that's there. It's the same move, but it's like pretending to have nothing. Well, you have nothing here. As you pretend to transfer the nothing, you do the changeover, and then boom. So this push-through technology has a lot of interesting applications.
So I guess in light of the fact that just then when you were doing that as a production, you could actually also use it if you're removing something from the hand.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you've got a coin here and a stack in this hand, as you're taking that coin away, take the stack with it.
Yeah, and that's where that's where some of that material came from originally. Right, way back in Coins on Edge, there's a couple things that are sort of like that, but nothing really gets that push through except some of the more recent stuff. But yeah, you can definitely use it if you have an object, even like with a wand. You don't have to just do the push through with coins. You can do them with balls. So I actually have some sequences for cups and balls that are very interesting. It changes the way you steal the ball because it just, as long as the ball is the right size, it works.
Wow.
So play with it, yeah. Oh, like the coins weren't cool enough, and now it's the ball stuff that's getting exciting.
We do like cups and balls. we do.
Okay, that's fine. No, it's something to think about.
Do we have any questions on the back of that?
We have not off the back of that particularly. We've got quite a lot of general questions already. If we want to hit a couple of those.
Okay, yeah.
So one of the questions we've had is around if someone wants to start learning a coin routine, how do they go about choosing the right coins?
Okay. So. I talk about this in my in Coins 101, which is what I do through Real Magic Magazine. Choosing the right coin for you is based on, for me, it's based on hand size. Usually what happens is you'll see a trick come out and you see someone, particular person do a trick and like, well, I want the coins that person has, right? And then you get those coins and then you can't do anything with them because this person has gigantic, monkey hands and you're done. You have little like petite, like T-Rex hands, right? So it's a problem some of us have. I actually have small hands. So for me, the way I size coins is I size it by determining what my base palm is. In other words, what's the main palm that I tend to go back to most often? And for me, because I do stand-up walk around, I tend to go to finger palm. Right. Classic palm can be a base palm for you as well, but that depends a lot on, for instance, right now I have to worry about flashing that stack over here, right? I mean, there's so much silver on the table now. But if I'm in finger palm, I can stay in the same position, and I can also give a kind of Ramsey-style display of the palms up. So that's why I tend to stay with finger palm. So the sizing for me is you choose the coin that best fits into finger palm. And one of the rules that I talk about with finger palm is that you don't need to, because we learn how to palm, most people start to vanish sponge balls. The danger of vanishing sponge balls is that you assume that everything in the world is squishy. And that in order to maintain something, well, and deep down it is, isn't it? But that's besides the point. Some level, on the atomic level, subatomic even. The little string theory, squishy. Anyway, the problem is that when people start palming coins, they're like, well, if it's squishy, I got to hold on tight. And I often do this in my lecture. So this is how I comfortably palm a coin. I'm only using, for my finger palm, I'm only using my third finger at this point. And so I do a Ramsey-style finger palm, because if you do the one that's in Bobo's on like the second page, it's like, I love you, or the devil, I don't know, right? Whoever you love, it's up to you. I'm not going to judge. So if you hold on to it with the third coin, go ahead and remove the coin from my palm. How hard am I holding on to it?
No.
So it's very gentle. It's very gentle, because you'll see people like, I'm concealing the coin. I'm like, yes, I can tell. So be relaxed with this. And so choose the size. For me, choose your base palm and then go from there to make sure it's going to fit perfectly. And the Barbers fit very well. These are Barber $half. They're basically the same diameter. They're maybe just a tiny bit smaller than Walking Liberties. barely. You can barely tell. Walking liberties fit very nicely. Now, I've played with half crowns, and half crowns you can see really do fit, but they're just a little too big. I can get away with a lot more with the barbers, and obviously, that's my goal. To get away with as much as I can possibly do as many different manipulative moves. So choosing the right coin for you, I say, is based on that size right there. And other people have really long fingers also. And so it depends on the size of your hand, the shape of your hand. If you look at my hand straight on, it's also like, it's a lot of palm, and then the fingers are a little bit shorter. I don't know what that means. My hands are still bigger than Donald Trump's. That's all that matters. But as long as you can get that size in the right place, so some people, if they have longer fingers, that finger palm is a little bit more difficult. So I say experiment. The easiest way to do that is to go on eBay and buy cheap coins. Look for different sizes. The $50, half crown is kind of the middle coin. It's really only slightly bigger than a $50, but it's a little more visual. When I make that vanish, it looks a little bit better when I make the barber vanish. A little bit, but And then when I make a dollar vanish, it's like, boom, that giant coin just vanished. It's like, okay. But I can't do everything else I want to do with the dollar because it takes up so much space. So it also comes down to what you want to do. For instance, if you just want to learn a one coin routine, right, then maybe just learning to do it with a dollar is okay.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of friends. I have a good friend of mine, George Tate, who's mainly known for his mentalism, but he teases me regularly because he uses these giant dollar-sized coins. And he's like, well, you have the same hands. I'm like, but you don't do stack transfers with these giant coins. That's not, you do one coin or you do spellbound routines. That's what you do. And so another thing to think about is like, what exactly do you want to put the coins for? And that'll help you choose, because if it's just for a couple vanishes, then maybe the dollar will work for you. Maybe not, but I tend to think I go for stack work. I'm doing manipulation stuff. This is the right size for me. So.
Perfect. And while we're on hands, we've had questions about windows as well. People with windows. Is that something you can help with at all?
Yeah, I have big windows. I don't know if can we do the overhead shot, please? I'm just gonna abuse this. Yeah, so you can get a good idea there, right? I mean, you can see. I mean, there's some very serious windows there. So what you learn to do, the way to deal with windows is it depends. It comes down to a lot of people. I know some people who have windows that because of an injury, they can't fix, right? They're kind of like, just because of an injury, you can't fix the window. And so that means that's going to take a little bit of creative solving on your part. But barring any physical injuries that keep you from doing this, one of the things that you learn, and this is something that Alan Okawa, a magician from Hawaii, who's underground, but he's one of the last of his generation. I mean, he hung out with the professor, and he hung out with he's good buddies with Larry Jennings. He was good buddies with Roger Klaus. He was one of these guys that knew everybody, Slidini. But he lives this very quiet life in Hawaii now, and he's one of the last guys, and he's got some incredible work and everything. And and we were just talking one day, and I had already come to this, but he was the one who enunciated it for me. And you kind of, eventually what you learn to do is how to hold your hand so that you don't need to worry about the windows. And now what that means is that you're going to push your fingers together. Right? I mean, that's basically what it means. And maybe curve your fingers a little bit. But that means that's going to be your new normal position. Right. And I don't know if I talked about it in the lecture last night, but it's been coming up at the various lectures I've been doing. And it's the idea about natural and what is natural. And with coins, it's particularly difficult to think about because so many gestures, a vanish in some ways is very much not a natural thing. I mean, it looks really good. Right? But there's something not quite natural about it. And it's about making these moments natural to you. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I have this bad problem where I walk around and people can't usually tell if I'm palming things or not. And that, for me, was kind of a goal, right? It's the idea that if I'm concealing things, this is what my hands look like. If I'm not concealing things, this is what my hands look like. Yeah. So, and that's from years of doing it literally while I was teaching sometimes. I'd be in front of a classroom of kids and just like, la 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 la, just palming coins. And just becoming natural, turning what is a what a lot of people feel like is a practice moment into a moment of just making it natural.
Yeah.
So windows are tough, but finding exactly the angles, like you can watch me get rid of my windows, right, and see what I have to do. I mean, it's a very small motion, but now my windows, they're there, they're gone, they're back, they're gone, they're back. It's not great magic, but I learned to hold up, put my fingers into position so that I can get rid of the windows. And when I do a move, and especially if I'm learning a new move, I have to sit back and think, okay, how are my windows going to affect the working in this move? So it's a constant struggle, but once you find that position for your hand, you can build from there. Good question. It's a great question.
Do you need to take your rings off to do good coin magic?
A lot of my friends refer to me as C3PO, kind of like OCD, attentive. I don't want anything encumbering my hands. You don't have to. It does depend on which hand you're working with. It depends on which hand you're working with. It depends on how many coins you're going to be working with. It depends on your relationship with your significant other.
It's fair enough. We like that. I'm actually not wearing my wedding ring this evening, so there we go.
That's okay. She doesn't watch it, does she?
Wow,
we're okay.
No,
So it comes down to my friend Curtis Cam. He wears rings all the time, and he wears his rings all the time. So he still does. He's doing giant stack work with rings, and he just figure out a way to work around it. So it's possible. You don't have to. You don't have to. But it's for me. I want that cleanly. I don't want to feel. I don't feel that my fingers are going to get slowed down by anything.
Yeah, it does. It does actually. I find that if I'm doing things, especially with larger coins like coins through silk, if I'm wearing my wedding ring at the time, because it's silver, it becomes a little bit of a distraction at times.
That's the other thing I worry about. Yeah, distraction. That's why I have friends who get tattoos and they put them on their hands, and I'm like, I don't think I could ever do that. Put a tattoo on my hand because I just don't want there to. I don't want there to be any possibility that is something that may be like, oh well, he's just using that tattoo. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just no.
And although it doesn't come up very often, I've also had it where someone said, "Oh, it must be a special ring," as if the coin's being picked up.
Yep.
You know, even though they can see it's silver, it's not going to do that.
Exactly.
You know, but it does. It does come up. Sure. But for me, it's more of a visual distraction.
Yeah. Yep. Definitely.
But there is a way of getting around it, and that is to maybe one of the routines that I do. I take the ring off, but then at the end, the coin becomes the ring again, and then I put it back on.
Right.
So it kind of there are ways of getting around it. Around it.
Yeah, definitely.
That leads me into something that you were saying there about naturalness.
Yes.
We talked briefly after the lecture last night about naturalness, especially when it comes to coin magic. And one of the things that I found when you were talking in the lecture last night, you said, you have to have a narrative. You have to have this narrative there, and you mentioned about the coin vanish.
Yeah.
And in and of itself, a coin vanish is very much sort of like it's done. Yeah, very impressive.
Right.
But there isn't any real narrative behind it. It needs something that then leads it into something more.
Sure.
Do you? Is that always your approach to all magic or coin magic specifically?
No, I think it is. I think it's a. Yeah, I think in terms of making sure there is a narrative that the narrative is like the English teacher and me basically use. It's another word for it would be motivation. Like why do I like? In other words, like there's a coin over here. I have a coin here. I'm going to put this coin in this hand so I can pick the coin up over there, right?
Yeah.
And then I can do coins cross.
Yeah.
Right? So that is kind of like a baseline motivation. But even with the vanish, I mean, I think a lot of the times it helps to have a story. Because like what we were talking about during lecture is that if you just do a vanish and you're worried about getting burned and like, well, they're looking at the other hand, that's your fault, right? There are a lot of ways to solve that problem technically, but the best one is a narrative, right? Say, there's absolutely technically no difference between saying I'm going to take this coin, I'm going to take this coin and make it disappear, or I'm going to take this coin and then make it go through the table, right? Technically, no difference. But in terms of the narrative, in terms of the motivation, that's what gives it its vitality. That's what makes it so that it's a penetration effect now, right?
Yeah.
And that's just the story that you give it. So I tend to do that, but it depends on the props.
Right.
I think it depends on a lot. It depends on the props and what I'm doing with them. I find that coins sometimes they benefit from more motivation, more narrative. Cards do too, but it depends on. A lot of the times with cards, I think we can get into that problem of, like we're making them alive or giving them character and that sort of thing, and I think sometimes that can get dangerous as well.
Yeah.
Whereas, on the other side of narrative, David Roth. If you think about David Roth's pattern for coins across, it's not like dramatic. It's not dramatically like stunning, right? 4 coins, silver $50, 50-cent pieces. They're going to start in this hand. They're going to go here. That's the first coin that went from this hand to this hand, right? Yeah. And that's the sort of pattern he does. And for a long time, I was like, that's just boring. And then it was Curtis who finally pointed out, well, you know what? The way to think about this is this. For most people when they see, most lay people and magicians as well. I mean, my favorite quote from magicians is that coin magic exists so that magicians remember what magic looks like. Uh-huh. Somebody said that a couple times to me, which I think is cute, right? Yeah. I'm like, oh, I'm special. No, not really. But what he said was like, the interesting thing about coin magic is that, I mean, the moment when the idea that I can put things in my hand, right, and you see them go there, and I can make them disappear, is fairly upsetting to most humans, right? Regardless, I mean, you're right. It's not normal. And so if you think about David Roth's pattern, the cool thing, I mean, this is like the opposite side of narration now, right? It's just straightforward, just because you just want people to know what's happening. Mm-hmm. Because if I pick up 2 coins and then touch my thumb together and one goes across, it's important that they can actually, they're certain what just happened. They can appreciate, because a lot of times with a lot of this visual magic, people are just kind of, they get left in the dust very, very quickly. Yeah. And so you either want them to be there so that they can't fight their way out, or you just want to make sure that but you want to make sure they're appreciating everything as well. So, so narrative, I think, is very dependent on, it's situational. Yeah, right. Definitely.
Okay.
Right.
Anything else?
We've got lots that might come, but someone's asked particularly the vanish you keep using to demonstrate different coins. Can you please help a little bit with references on that, because we like it?
I think you mean the retention.
I think it's
the retention.
I'm just doing a retention pass. Yeah. So I'll show you my. Oh, it does look good. Sorry, it's not on the screen. So I'm doing a couple different versions, but the version that I'm doing is I'm only holding the coin with my thumb and index finger. Usually, when it's taught, if you go back to Greater Magic, it's usually taught with the index finger and middle finger, right? That's the kind of the standard retention pass. I just hold it with my thumb and index finger, and when it goes into the hand, I'm going to steal it out. And I just use my middle finger. Thank you. My middle finger comes over, and it's really like my middle finger comes over, and my thumb and index finger go forward. But it just gets me enough to the point where I can just balance that coin, which clipped here between my index finger and middle finger. So that's the position that I start from. And that's it. So the timing of this is, the bad timing, people will come up to me and say, how's my retention pass look? And they'll do this, right? And that's bad magic, right? So I always tell people, if you want to work on the retention pass, the first thing to do is make sure you find a method, because there are a lot of methods out there. There are a lot of retention passes out there. This is just the way I do it. And there's a very specific reason why I do it this way. But you just want to make sure the cover happens first, and then the steal happens after. I mean, that's really it. Now, the fun thing about this is that the other little touch I tell people is I do a little wiggle. And what that wiggle does is that it's really for live performances, but what it does is it just gets a little more light on the coin and hitting the spectator's eyes. And if you're in a group of I'm looking at the people next door. If their eyes are basically at the same level, but if you have some people standing, some people sitting, if you just give that little bit of wiggle there, the light just connects better with the camera. The camera is easy to fool with a retention pass, but human eyes are just a little bit harder. But if you give that little wiggle, so that's the technique I'm using. I'm just stealing it with the middle finger. But there are a lot of resources. Obviously, Coin Magic, the Richard Kaufman Coin Magic. It's in the Greater Magic, kind of the basic stuff. And there's also a lot of guys out there coming up with very, very many variations on retention passes right now. So they're all over the place. Yeah.
There we go.
Sure. Perfect.
So we had a look at the first routine.
Yes.
There are some more bits that you wanted to talk about.
Sure.
Yep.
So I'll show you the next part. I'll skip the the 5-coin sequence. The 5-coin sequence is an interesting sequence. Well, the way I'll talk about it is not the way I did it, but I'll talk about it because I love talking about this because it's the very first trick I ever learned, which means it's the very first trick in coin magic that I ever stole. And I asked Brian Gillis before he passed away about this, and I told him, look, I teach this in workshops, I talk about it all the time. Do you mind if I do that? He said, it's okay. And I asked him, well, how did you come up with this moment? And if you've never seen it, this is what it looks like.
That's going to happen a lot this evening, isn't it?
I happen to have here 5 coins. You can see, and it's kind of a bit of a memory game, right? All you have to remember is, how many coins do you see here, sir?
2.
That's 2. And how many coins do you see here, sir?
3.
That's 3, right? Did you see me do the secret move? 3 and 2? I'll do it again. So that's 1. That's 2. That's 3. That's 2 over there. Did you see me do the secret move that time? 4 and 1. It's okay. It's okay. I tell you what, we'll put the 4 right over here. We'll put them right there. That way I can take the 5th one, just do the wave from far. That gives me all 5 coins there.
It's a good job it's just next door.
I know, I'm like, I have to walk over there. Yeah.
Like,
That's the only reason I'm abusing
run
them.
down the corridor or something.
Yeah. So this is just winged silver from Bobo's. And what happened one night with Brian is that he was doing this, he was going to do winged silver, and then he forgot a coin.
Right.
He only had, well, you in winged silver, you have 6 coins and you have an extra coin, right? But he ended up with this. And I told him what I think was happening. He's like, it was so cool. It just worked. And so I just constantly did this way. And I said, I know why it's happening. And so the technique is very simple. I'm just holding on a coin in Classic Palm, an extra coin there. I have 2 here. I'm going to toss 1. And then I'm going to toss this one at the same time as I let go of the coin in Classic Palm. So that's, now I have 3 here, right? Pick up 3. I'm going to Classic Palm 1 of them from the stack. This can be challenging to some people. I'm just going to push that coin off a little bit. And as I come up, as I close the hand, that coin is resting on fingertip rest. As I close the hand, it goes right into Classic Palm. The way I cover this is a lot of times with Classic Palm things, your thumb moves. So what I say is a line I think I stole from David Roth, which is like, I do the secret move. Right? That just allows you to do it. And then 3 and 2. Now this is very cool because I don't know what people think the effect is. Like we could go around the room and ask them what exactly they just saw. But from the psychological point of view, I really didn't get it until I loved it. It fooled me. Like I was like, I had just been learning some coin magic and it fooled me. And I'm watching this television special. I'm like, how's he doing that? And then finally it dawned on me how simple it was. But what's at stake here is that you have this image first, and it's going to go, and it goes to this image, right? And a woman came up to me once when I was doing this, and she said, how did you make the 2 coins go up this sleeve and come down over here, and the 3 coins go up this sleeve and come down over here? Which, right, for magicians, we're all like, ha ha. But when I suddenly realized, like, oh my gosh, this isn't a coin across. This isn't this coin going from here to here. This is a transposition.
Yeah, and it's an asymmetrical.
And it's the asymmetrical nature of it that makes it transposition.
Yeah.
So this is as soon as she said that, I was like, oh, this is why the magic works. So that's 1, that's 2. And you don't say, and that's why you don't say, this is why you're vague, right? Now this is the moment why your narrative is vague. Because I say, did you see me do the secret move? 3 and 2. Because some people might think, well, 1 jumped across. Other people might think, they switch places. So you don't want to add on, you don't want to give them what the story is, right? You just let them write it out. Now they just saw 3 and 2. So what they're thinking is like, okay, well maybe it's going to restore itself. And then you set up again, you do the same thing, but now it's the same move, now it's 4 and 1.
Right.
And so that build up, it's like, okay, it's 3 and 2, okay, now it's 2 and 3, and now, it's 4 and 1. And then you have the extra coin. You can just load it in the spectator's hand, or you can just make it as a stack. It's hard for people to tell the difference between 5 and 4 from afar. You vanish the last one and send it over there. It's a powerful bit of magic.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's fun to think about.
I was reading or rereading Strong Magic recently, and David Ortiz talks about clarity and effects.
Yeah.
And he says one of the ways that you can give clarity of an effect is if you've got, let's say, red cards that have red backs and blue cards that have black cards that have blue backs, because it's very clear that the blacks are associated with the blue and the reds are associated with the red.
Right.
Here, you've got that kind of clarity.
Right.
The left hand holds 2 coins or 3 coins, and this holds this amount of coins, and now it's very clear that the 2 amounts of coins have changed places because they're not in the corresponding hand that they start off with.
Right. So it's a very simple, kind of like if you're playing with classic palm, you don't have to do it with classic palm, you do it with finger palm too if you want. But it's a really strong 3-beat trick to do. It's worth carrying around a bunch of coins to do it. So
okay. You used a classic palm vanish here as well.
Yeah.
I noticed because you used this a couple of times yesterday.
Yes.
And I love it, and what I love about it is the sell of the vanish, because I've not seen maybe one other person do it before where you tap the coin first.
You tap the coin,
can you just run through that very briefly, because
Sure.
I'm sure everybody's familiar with the actual classic palm, but this particular version of the vanish.
Sure. So instead of just turning over, right, what's going to happen is I'm going to place my index finger, or you can use your middle finger also. And now this is the very first vanish I ever learned when I was just learning classic palm, and it was taught to me by my friend Theo Fanning. And what and I quickly realized that this is like a safety vanish, is what this is. Because if you're not confident with your classic palm, you just take your index finger and you jam that coin into classic palm. You're literally just pushing it in, right? And then you turn your hand over. Now, what's interesting is that when you turn both hands over, this finger collapses, right, as the rest of the hand collapses. And you get sometimes just a little bit of the burn of that coin sticking to that finger. So you get just a little bit of, you see something move. And it's really this index finger closing. And that's what gets you that image of the coin falling. It seems like a very fair vanish. It's here. Now everyone can focus. And it's a little unnatural, yes, but I like it because it's that safety move. It's like you just push right in, you just push it in, and so that's it's a very good classic palm vanish to start out with, definitely.
Brilliant.
Okay.
So next part of that particular routine.
So the next part I'll show you is I won't go through all of it. It's a 4 coins across sequence. It's a little crazy. It's the way that I do a very old trick now that I published a long time ago called punctuated equilibrium. It's the idea that the coins are going to go across, but they're not going to go across. They're not going to go across in as linear a way as you think.
Right.
But I really streamlined that concept, and now I'm just going for making these coins go across. So I'll show you the method, because I don't want people to run away thinking like, well, he never shows how to do this part. So I have here 4 coins and a shell. They're going to start here. I open the classic palm, the coin that has the shell. Flip that over, so I'm holding out the coin in classic palm. Toss the 3. That's coin number 1, right? So I didn't say which way they're going. They're going to go back this way. Now I'm going to do 2 moves simultaneously. The one is known as called the action heel steal. It's first published in Coins on Edge, and what it was, the action heel steal is sort of like a top change with coins. This hand's going to close, and I'm going to get one of the coins just pushes out as you close the fingers into this kind of clip position held by the 2 fingers at the bottom here, the fist. So of course you don't expose this to the audience. This is bad magic, right? So you're here. It's just resting there. This hand is going to I usually stand up when I do this. So is it better for me to go in there and stand up, or is it better for me to do it here?
We could probably go to the front cam. Yep. Okay.
Oh, wait. You mean that?
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Right,
if that works for you.
All right, so the idea is that closing up, so you're holding out the coin here, right? Now you're gonna switch this coin for this coin. That's what's gonna happen. The basic move is this hand's gonna come in, and the line I usually use to cover it is like, now you were at my bad angle. Did you see me do it? And they say no, and then usually, right? Hopefully, and then they say, well, do you think you could catch me if I did it again? Okay. And so what you're doing is that as you come in, as this hands as approach, this coin that's displayed, I actually have my thumb over the back of it so that it can suck it down into finger palm as quickly as possible. At the same time, this hand turns palm up. So from here to here. So it's like, and you can dip under the hand a little bit. So it's a sort of stylized, this, did you see me do it? Do you think you could catch me if I did it again? It happens very fast. Now, if you want to be even harsher, you can do this move. So I'm going to say, do you think you could catch me if I did it again? Now what I did there was a click pass instead. So let me show you the click pass, and then I'll build up to what this is actually. This click pass is very cool. Curtis said I invented it. I think he invented it. We don't know, so we just say Milk Court invented it.
That's fair enough.
Fair enough.
Yep.
It's the simplest click pass in the world. If you read Bobo's and you read the click pass in there, it's like a classic palm, and then you let the other one go, and it falls in the hand. It just doesn't feel right. Don't do that. This is one out of finger palm, and it looks. This is the mechanism. Okay, it's very simple. The coins are pretty much in finger palm. I'm going to push off with my thumb and hold one of the coins with my index finger. Hold the coin between my index finger and thumb. Right. Then I let go. That's it. That's the click pass. Now, and that's just enough noise. And I've been playing with the local money, so this sounds really good with 50p. You know, you guys have coins, so I get excited. You know, come on. Well, we don't care about coins in America. It's just like, Anyway, shh. So now there are a couple of applications to this, right? Let me show you. And you notice this is. I'm kind of being a little circuitous with a lot of this discussion. But what I'm trying to do is find the little places to build off of as we go along. I'll be right back. Hello.
I'm getting used to it now.
I brought with me this coin. When I wave, it gives me a second coin just like that. I can also get a third one out of the air like that. That gives me 1, 2, and 3. And then I can also get a fourth one. That gives me 1, 2, 3, and 4. We'll get rid of one of those. That gives me just the 1, 2, and 3. Get rid of another one. That leaves me with just the 2. And I can take those 2 and squeeze it. That leaves me just with the 1. I'm enjoying this too much. Anyway, so that's the click pass. That's all with the click pass, right? Okay. So this is what happens, and it's a lot of fun. You have multiple applications for this. You can click and hold on to it, right? So that vanishes 2. You can click and release. That vanishes 1. Okay? Or you can also use this as a false count. 1, 2, 3. So if you learn one move, you can make coins appear and disappear. Remember, I was talking about how important that is to me. This is the easiest way I know of doing this with this cool click pass. So when I came out there, I had 1 coin in each finger palm. I produced 1. I did a shuttle pass. I produced the second one. Let them fall so you get the noise. Click pass. So I have 1 in this hand. That's number 3. That's 1, 2. Let me actually hit it. That's 1, 2, 3. And then that's number 4. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if you really wanted to, you could be really mean. You could say, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 coins, but it's not going to work, right? I think I go for 4, and that's about as much. So if you learn this one move, you can come out and produce a lot of coins. I call this easy miser. Because if you incorporate this with coins already in your pocket, like if you say, oh, we'll get rid of these 2, oh wait, there's another one over there, and you just steal a bunch of coins. I mean, you're off to the races at that point.
Yeah.
And I use this move quite often. So it's a very functional move. I just call it the finger palm click pass. Again, it's probably Milk Court's. I think it's Curtis Cam's. Because he did it for a long time, and then I picked it up from him. But it's just it's just one of those simple, small moves.
Yeah. And
if you're really weird, you can practice this a lot of the time, right? I mean, you can practice this in your pocket as you're walking around, but that's a little strange. But, instead of just playing, a lot of people walk around jingling their coins in their pocket. If you're just sitting in your pocket doing this all the time, you're going to get a feel for it. It is about lining it up. You want as much of the surface of the 2 coins to touch each other. See, like that time, I deflected a little bit because I'm thinking about it. So, there. And then it comes down to just mastering that feeling of catching nothing, right? Or the way you learn that is by catching something. So it either hold back or deflect off, and that's it. 1, 2, 3. This is a really fun little click pass that has a lot of cool applications. So what I just did, because most people don't remember the 4 coins across at this point, but the problem with this 4 coins across that really messes with people is that the first coin goes, right? And I say, well, that wasn't fair. I tell you what, let's start again.
Yeah.
So I do the action heel steal, followed immediately by the click pass.
Yeah, so you're getting 2 ahead.
I'm actually 3 ahead because I have a shell.
Right.
So this coin has a shell on it. So that's how evil this is. So I'm here, they here, bounce, bounce, bounce. That's number 1, right? If you miss the moment when number 1 goes across, you're probably going to miss the moment when number 2 goes across. And if you miss that moment, now you're just kind of got to do a 3 fly moment where I'm just going to suck this coin into finger palm. And this hand's going to unnest that shell.
Wow.
So it's from here. If you want to do it straight on, they see, and if you miss the moment when the second coin goes, you're probably going to miss the moment when the third coin goes.
Yeah.
And that's the part that hurts. It doesn't just hurt magicians, by the way, because you'll see magicians get more and more angry as that movement goes along. It hurts lay people too, because the hands don't come together. And I just do the toss over. That just squares up, right? So that's the shell over there. And then you just do the exact same sequence again, but with a false count. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm in the exact same position again. I have 2 coins and 1 has the shell. And I'm ready to go again. So if you miss the moment when the first one goes, you probably so yeah, if this first one's over here, you know that there have to be 3 over here. Right? And you're like, wait. And if there are 2 over here, you know there have to be 2 over here. Exact same moves again.
Yeah.
But because you change the tempo, you get a very different feeling. And then you can really just irk people off. Or just irk people off, I don't know what that means. You make people angry. You come right at them and you say, that's 3 coins, this is 1. You say, a lot of people think this is like, the coins are just jumping back in time, sort of like deja vu, right? And they get this image of the falling, but then bam, there's another one right back. And then you end using your favorite method. So anyway, wow. Crazy 4 coins across. Thank you. But that's, a power moment. So again, you take one move that's a little crazy, that steal, and you add a move that's actually fairly simple, that click pass.
Yeah.
And you get so far ahead of your audience. Question?
We've had a couple. You mentioned shells. Do you have any techniques for nesting and unnesting shells in a smooth way?
I got a lot, but I think they're fairly standard.
Okay.
I'll show you a couple. The main one that I use is so the shell is on the bottommost coin there. I'm going to plant my thumb at the front and just lift up a little bit, and then pull back. Of course, when I think about it, it's harder to do, but there it goes. Now, this is nice because what it does is it's an interesting way to spread coins, because a lot of the times we spread coins forward. You can see that they're going in different directions, right? Mm-hmm. Because for the audience on this side, they're seeing the edges of the coins. The audience on this side is just seeing the faces of the coins, right? Yeah. So this is a very fair way to show 4 coins. This one over here is a very fair way to show 4 because they're seeing the edges. So it comes down to the quality of your shell and how much silver. The more silver you have in your shell, the better it's going to sound most of the time. So if you're using like a clad Kennedy shell, it's not going to sound as good as, say, you're using a silver Kennedy shell or a silver half crown or a barber or a walking liberty. So that's one technique. That's just a way to you just get used to that thumb reaching over and like fanning in reverse your hand. I already showed the other technique, how to get a shell out is just do that. I mean, you literally just like you grab the shell in finger palm and turn your hand over, and the coin falls out. The other one that I did that I'm doing very quickly is actually the oldest move in tricks using an expanded shell. It comes from More Magic by Professor Hoffman. You're going to hold the coin between your thumb and middle finger. This has the shell in it. Third finger goes on the bottom. First finger goes on top. It's kind of balancing. That's not balancing. It's literally holding on to the edges of the shell. And now if you just lean backwards, see how the coin falls out a little bit? Like, hi, boys and girls, right? Hello. I really want some crisps now. Munch, munch, munch. So you're here, and then you push up a little bit, and then that gives you the 2. So you can very quickly go from 1 to 2. And it's not a lock. It's not like a. Now there's some shells that are called slippery Sams. They're designed for just sliding the coin out. You don't need a slippery Sam for this. It's literally the audience sees 1, and then they see 2. And just that little bit of a wrist gives you enough to get that coin out of the shell. So that's another technique. There are lots of them out there that just people use all the time. But those are the three that I tend to use the most.
And are there certain suppliers that people should look for in terms of shells?
There are a lot out there. Depends on how much you want to invest, right? And what kind of quality of the metal it is that you're looking for. You tell people, a good quality shell, like a Morgan shell or even a Barber expanded shell, can go for $300 easy. From ones people like Todd Lassen, Jamie Schoolcraft, Roy Coopers, the guys who are kind of like the more well-known guys in terms of selling coins. What I say is, try to get a convention and look at their pieces and make the decision that's best for you. The working with that kind of quality silver is always better. But to get back to my real point is don't feel bad about investing in that, right? Okay, so this expanded shell, I think this is the first Todd Lassen Barber shell that he ever did. I'm thinking. If not, the only one before it would have been something for David Neighbors. But I think this is the first one. And I paid $300 for this, and I've had it for at least 14, 15 years now. So that's $300 for that time of investment. So if you think about how much you spend on decks of cards or DVDs, right? This is something that just is always on me and I'm always working with. So it's a worthwhile investment. Even though people are like, that's a lot to pay for one prop. I'm like, yeah, but think of, if you have that one prop, there's so much you can do with it. So much you can do with it. So that's what I say go and look at the wares, make your own judgments, look at the height of the shell. If you buy it online, buyer beware. I say try to handle it beforehand. But anyway, good question.
Sensible advice. I had a customer recently that was asking me questions about different quality coins from different people, and my feedback was exactly the same. Yeah. You need to go to a convention and try them out, and then make your own decision. Yeah, because there's lots of different factors to take into consideration.
Definitely.
So, any more questions?
We've got lots.
There's lots of questions. Okay. So, was there any more that you wanted to discuss about this particular routine?
No. The only other thing I'll discuss about it is the ending.
Right.
And the ending is from a DVD I have called Trifecta, which is and the ending is a 2 in the hand, 1 in the pocket sequence that I do. And I love doing it. But I change it up for this because for me it's important that the coins, you can either have all the coins vanish at the end, too many coins, or you can make them all come back because it's too many coins.
Yeah. And
so I'll show you what I'm doing with that. I'm pretty much down to this situation. These 4 are in my pocket. I now have a coin and an expanded shell and a coin. And I get down to the point where they're seeing this, and that's how you get a lot of those crazy moments where there's no way that you have, what they've seen is that they've seen me show 3, take 2, put them in my pocket, but because I have the expanded shell and another coin, that immediately looks like 3.
Yeah.
I can close up, and the way I ended this is I closed up, I took out 1, and I put that one in my pocket. When I put that one in my pocket, I palmed all the other coins. And I opened this hand to show the 1 there. Now, you do a crazy shuttle pass off of a stack, 1 for 1. And all that's happening is that you're literally you're turning this hand down and you're pushing off 1 coin from the stack. So, like that. Because you got to put that coin back in cleanly and then open up to show the 3. You've got 4 over here. And now you close up the 3. Can't believe I'm showing this. And then you're going to nest the 3 and you're going to do another shuttle pass like that.
Yeah.
and push off 3, you're hiding 1. But if you drop those 3 and then unnest, all of a sudden you have 6 again.
Right.
And if you square that up, drop it over, you have 6 again.
Yeah.
So you're all clean and ready to go. So if you want, you can vanish them all. That's the version of the 2 and the N1 in the pocket that's in the Trifecta DVD that I have.
Yeah.
And that's a that's another option instead of having to palm a bunch of coins out. So yeah. Okay.
Brilliant. So plenty for you guys to be working on, I'm sure. If you have the questions, then please send them in. There's lots more to go through. So the night is still young. Please, if you have any questions, then by all means ask them. Keep the reviews coming in. I don't know how we're looking for reviews, but if they're there, then keep them coming in. And also the Facebook group as well. Very important. Like to see your comments and your thoughts on there as well.
Sure.
So,
All right. So how much time do we have right now? Where are we?
We're 8:15.
8:15. So this is about the time we take a break? Or
yeah, we can take a break now.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, that's it. I think the guys out in their homes are going to be running with the coins and like in front of the mirror with the cameras and everything, just trying out the bits of the routine. Look
So
at
when
that.
we come back, there will be cards, okay? I promise.
So, guys, we're going to have a 15-minute break.
Yep.
Yeah, 15-minute break. Charge your glasses, go and grab a cup of coffee, have some biscuits, grab water, do whatever. And remember, keep the reviews coming in, keep the Facebook comments coming in, and we will see you again in about 15 minutes' time. Hi guys and welcome back. I hope that you're all feeling refreshed, that the coins haven't dropped too much on the floor, and if they have, that you were standing on carpet at the time, so they didn't roll everywhere and make noise. I'm sure that you're all busy practicing away at home, but we're back with Connor Harbottle for this evening. First half was absolutely amazing, and plenty of things to get you guys thinking. We're going to open up the second half with a question on
Pressure, lotions and potions.
Yay, lotions and potions. There we
Lotions
go.
and potions.
Very, very good. So the question being, do you use any creams or lotions, anything with your hands?
I don't have to, but I think I think everybody has an opinion about that out there. I say try out different things, whether it's like resin, whether it's like that golden touch, right? I think it's different for everybody, and I know people who swear by it. Like you can basically tell they're about to do a card trick by they reach in their pocket, and then they go, right? Yeah. And so you're like, okay. So I say there's nothing that works for me. I've tried different things. In Hawaii, things are very humid, so my issue is often dryness. If I get into dry spaces, but I can fix that by doing that, right? I can make my hands sweat, so I don't have to worry about it. I just praying. I don't know what that looked like actually. So speaking in tongues. I say try different things. For me, one thing that I did use for a while is this is just bizarre. Neutrogena. Do you guys have Neutrogena here? So there was a Neutrogena. It was an aftershave cream. It wasn't like just sort of like the regular hand cream. It wasn't as oily. Because for me, like I get nervous like before doing it. Okay, Neutrogena hand cream. But so for me, it wasn't the hand cream that worked. It was the aftershave cream. I don't know why. So I say experiment with a lot of different things. I think it's got to come down to your natural, your body chemistry. Yeah. So I think that's the best answer to lotions and potions.
Cool.
Great.
If anybody's interested, this is not a product endorsement. This is.
It should be. Can we contact them and get some money for this?
This was. I actually started using this after watching a card thing with Jason England.
Oh, really?
He says about just putting a little bit. I think it's this that you just put a little dab there. You use it on your hands and then you just put a little bit here. So if you find it during the evening that it starts to get a bit sweaty, you just do this.
Just grab a little bit. And oh, that's nice. Like
which
that.
is great for cards, especially because obviously you put it on the tips of your fingers. It's not so much about the palm as such.
Right.
There we go. End of product endorsement. There we go.
Well, and one other thing that I have, actually, you just reminded me because of the placement, because I've used that idea before, but I've done it with Burt's Bees, the lip balm.
Right.
That sometimes not only does it make your hands smell minty fresh, but it also gives you if you need a little more tackiness in certain areas, because again you can transfer from here, you can put it right into classic palm, right, because that's what those two fingers are for, pretty much, or you can rub it in right. It doesn't need to cover your whole hand. So lotions and potions. I wish I came up with lotions and potions a long time ago, because I just would have made a chapter on it. So I'm a little jealous.
We go.
You can have it.
Oh, thank you.
So we have a bit of a change of tact, I believe.
Yes. We'll do some cards.
We'll do some cards. So, guys, keep the reviews coming in. We have the dedicated Facebook page, which is going to appear at the bottom here. Nothing. Hey, there we go. So we keep your comments coming on there. I know that you guys are having a fantastic evening, so please talk about it. So we're going to hand over to Kanaya Harbottle in the auditorium.
All right, thank you. So let me do one of my favorite card tricks for you. Sir, do me a favor, just go ahead and take a card out for me. Right there, that one there. Go ahead and show it about, make sure everyone can see it. Oh yeah, make sure Mr. Camera can see too. The kids at home play. And place it back right there from whence it came. Nicely done. Now I love doing this trick, because this is the trick that always works. And I love doing it for people. So what's going to happen is this. You're going to cut the cards, and then I'm going to cut the cards. And we're going to find a couple different cards, and those cards are going to tell me something about your card. They're going to reveal to me what your card is. So we're going to start with your cutting the cards. What I'll do, make it easier for you. You don't have to get up. I'll flip the cards like this. You just say stop somewhere.
Stop.
Right there. That's where I'm going to cut the cards. We'll look at the first card. The 9 of clubs. Okay, the 9 tells me that your card is like a high number card. Well, it's going to be on the higher side half of the number. So it's a 9, 10, Jack, Queen, King, Ace. It's going to be up there. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes or no? Okay, good. The Ace of Diamonds. The Ace of Diamonds tells me that your card is a red card. Yes or no?
Yep.
Yes, it is. Okay, good. So that was your cut. I get to give the cards a cut this time. And we'll take a look at the card I got here. It is the 5 of Spades. Now, the 5 of Spades is an interesting card. What the 5 of Spades tells me to do is tells me to cut about the middle of the cards and then actually spell its name. That'd be F-I-V-E-O-F, don't forget the O-F, S-P-A-D-E-S. If my calculations are correct, you selected one card and one card only. What was the name of the card you picked?
Ace of Diamonds.
The Ace of Diamonds? The eight of Diamonds. Ace of Diamonds?
Ace of Diamonds.
Well, like I said, this is the card trick that always works. And thank you. And I know you're probably a little confused, because when you're looking down here, you might have thought you saw one of your cards were one of the other aces, but that's okay. All right, so I call this a trick that always works. And when I was starting out with doing a lot more sleight of hand with walk around.
Okay.
Oh no, you're good. One of the things that I wanted to do was I didn't want to have a deck set up, right? But I wanted to just have I just wanted to say, okay, how many different tricks can I do with a setup of just 4 of a kind that are quick and that are really good for walk around? And so I came up with a bunch, and I actually have the original notes I wrote up for this, and it was when Phil Hart was still on Saturday Night Live. That's how long ago this was, because I called it he had that anal retentive chef. I don't know if you remember that. So this is the anal retentive card magician. And it's just like, how many things can you get by doing very few moves? So this is my reworking of the Derek Dingle, it's in the Derek Dingle book. It's Regal Royal Flush. And it's a great trick. It's like in a there's no pictures. It's at the bottom of one page, at the top of another one, and there's just so much. You see John Carney do variation on it. It's a very quick and dirty way to get 4 of a kind on the table where they see different cards.
Yeah.
So you start with a the four of a kind that you want. I always use the aces because this is an opener. And there's a very, and I call this the trick that always works because there's something that you always want to find out about your audience. You want to find out who's your friend and who's out to get you. And if you start with a sucker trick, I mean, this is early, isn't it? It's sort of a sucker trick, but it's not. It's not really like, haha, it's the magician in trouble trick, right? Yeah. But it gets very close by the ending where all of a sudden there are four aces. This guy's been smacking us around, basically.
Yeah, so it kind of has antecedents with the Dunbury Delusion.
Yes, definitely. This is what I was inspired, this is what I wanted to do. So I just cut the four of a kind in the middle, and I spread out, and now you can practice your classic force because they can pick any one of the four cards, right? So yay! So they take whatever one, and you just keep track. So this one, I took the third one. To get set up, I turn away while they show the card around, and I push over an indifferent card from this pile, and just exchange it with the ace, one of the aces. It doesn't matter which one. So now I have the two of the aces over here. I have an indifferent card and an ace here, and then that's the selection. So now I'm going to take this back. It's ace of spades. And I love doing this because, lay people, they're like, it's an ace. Ooh, you can hear them talking. They're like, foolish humans. But you're so far ahead of them, right? And so this is the trick that always works. And I give that little line to it, and because you want to taunt them a little bit. And then you're going to do a move that's a force that's in the my goodness gracious, Alex Elmsley book. In the second volume, you flip through the cards like this, and you're holding a break, right? So this is their selection here. You have indifferent card, ace, and the other aces are underneath. So you flip down, then they say stop, you toss everything above the break. That's it. It's a very simple force. It's a really great force to do. Now I'm going to flash this card and say, okay, so that's where you come, and whatever this card is, I'm going to try to get to the value of that's somewhere in the ballpark of ace.
Yeah. So
last time it was I think it was a 9, right? So I said it's going to be up at the higher part of the deck, the cards, like 9, 10, Jack, Queen, King, Ace, right? And they say, yeah, you're like, yeah. So in this case, so this is like a 6, so it's really part of the lower cards, so it's like an Ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's what I'd say.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. You can make this card always the same thing, but I don't really care. And as you're saying this, you're giving the reason. You're just going to do a collide. You're going to push down on the face of that card, and allow that card instead grab the ace, right? So just push it to the side. One of the simplest, and just drop it there, right? So there's the ace. Now I'm going to do, this is a move that's, this is a variation on the drop, I think it's a drop switch.
Yeah.
It comes from, this is a what's his face, a Marlowe thing, I think. You flip over and you show, they see the ace of spades there, and that's their card. So you kind of butter them up by saying, so yes or no, is this card in the range, am I right in terms of the range? Yes or no. So you get them that yes or no question going. They're like, okay. So you flip this ace over, you say, okay, so the ace of spades, good. And now sometimes you hear Twitter, they're like, hee, or something like that, but you just ignore it. You say, maybe you look a little confused. Like, okay, so ace of spades tells me, okay, it's a spade. It tells me your card is a spade, yes or no. Because you don't want them to say, that's my card, right? You say yes or no. And this is the moment where you start to get the sly smile, like you had, by the way. It's a sly smile. And so the move here, this is a simplified version of the drop switch. Instead of dropping one card as you flip this over, you're going to flip this card over and just put your thumb underneath, and that allows the card to go in the bottom of the packet. So it's here, it's there. It's a very simple little switch, quick switch. You deal off that card, it's another ace. Hold a break. Now you double undercut, or you do whatever you do. You have to keep the deck in position. A double undercut from that break. Their real selection is at the bottom, and I have the last ace and an indifferent card next, right? All I say is I cut the cards. You cut the cards first. Now you do a double, and I say whatever the card is. I say, the 9 of hearts, that's a special card. It tells me to cut the cards about in the middle, and then spell NINEOFHEARTS. Now you're going to do a bottom deal. At this point, for lay people, nobody cares. Nobody cares because you're wrong. You're wrong. This is the trick. And I'll just butter the crowd up. I'll say, because, I love this trick. I'll just say halfway through, I love this trick. It's a trick that always works. I just keep saying that. And you can watch the spectators. And so this is the reason I do this trick. Because like I said, you want to know who your friends are. Because you'll see some people looking at you like, you'll see some people who just don't care. They'll be like, they know something's wrong, but they're like, you'll see some people who look absolutely horrified. and they'll be looking at you like you can tell they feel so bad for you about this moment. You know what I mean? And that's how you know, and this is why it's a great opener, who your friends are. And so you know the people who are going to be out to get you. They're the ones that are enjoying themselves. You're going to know the people who, are kind of like they're going to be polite, right?
Yeah.
And then you know the people who are actually your friends, who like don't want you to mess up. So I push over. I just wait, and nobody cares at this moment. So I just snap that corner, and then I just buckle at the same time and push out, and that's it. It's not a lot of high technique. If you want to do work, and notice that the only reason I'm doing this, the cut sequence and the dealing, the spelling, is just so I can get rid of these cards. So I'm doing a bottom deal with as few cards as possible, right?
Yeah.
And I say, and I get rid of this, and I say whatever card they say, and whatever card they say, I play in the word. I do the word play. If they say like ace of diamonds, I say 8 of diamonds, and I look, right, or the ace of spades, 8 of spades, and I look confused, and I say, well, that's why this is a trick that always works. And you get the applause off of that, and then I say, well, I understand you might have been confused because, you might have confused it with one of the other aces all along.
Brilliant.
Very strong.
Yeah, very strong. Can we just have a look at the variation on the drop slide?
Sure.
Because most people that would be familiar with this move are familiar with the packet with the card dropping on top.
Right.
And it's quite a disarming version of that.
Yeah.
Slide.
So again, whatever the card is, we're going to switch the 9 of hearts in this case for the 4 of spades. So whatever's on top of this packet, right? So I show you 9 of hearts, and then that's it. So that's the speed. Let me do it. I'll do it slowly. It's hard. It's one of these ones that don't look as good when you do it slowly. But you flip over once, and you flip over again, and it makes sense that your thumb would be there. Oh, that's perfect. And then you just use the thumb to lever the card up.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so there's a moment of cover, and then you just deal off. It's a very, very natural, way. Instead of having to, to hold the, flip over, hold the break and drop, right? Do the switch that way. This seems like a little, it makes you less stressed. Mm-hmm. So it's going to like increase the naturalness.
Yeah.
But it's a very easy way, if you don't want to hold a break, to do a switch out like that.
One of the things I observed when you were performing out to the guys out the front there
Mm-hmm.
was that this moment where you're ready to do the bottom deal, the world's easiest bottom deal because of the thickness of the packet, that up until that moment, when you're spelling the cards, all of your attention is here.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you get to this point here and you relax, and you push that card out and then you relax again, your whole body posture changed because it's very intense here, and then all of a sudden very relaxed on a moment that isn't going to be the moment.
Exactly.
So that's great. Just out of interest, because I do have a linking question to the coin magic as well.
Sure.
What because you brought this up in the lecture last night about this kind of approach of not giving your audience more credit, and there's always this thing about sucker effects.
Yeah.
The sucker effects, they don't always work, and that's because really you're looking at your audience and going, I've got the wool over your eyes. Which you don't get with this effect, and you don't get with the coin effect that you were doing earlier on, the gadabout coins. And I know that you talked about this last night about giving your audience more respect.
Yeah, and so to go back to gadabout coins, I mean, one of the things is that the 2 and the M1 in the pocket is that when most people do it, they do it in a kind of abusive way, right? Yeah. They usually say, like the baseline version is that it says 3 coins, I put 1 in my pocket, how many do I have left? And they say 2. No, 3. The goal is never to tell the spectator they're wrong, I think. And this is something that Curtis talked about with me a long time ago. I'm like, this makes so much sense. You don't want to tell the spectator they're wrong. It's not nice. So you can form it in the terms of like a conditional question sort of thing, right?
Yes.
So if I have 3 coins, I take 1, it would make, how many should I have left? And they say 2. And you're saying, that's exactly right. But I always end up with 3. Right? So that slight change in the pattern, it takes the edge off. Yeah. And that's what I try to do. And that's the same thing I do with this. Like, that because I've been saying it's a trick that always works, I get so excited about that, when I finally turn it over, I say, oh no, it's a trick that always works.
Yeah.
It's like I don't say it's a trick that always works, they do rude gestures at them. It's about that, it's a trick that always works.
Yeah.
Right? I don't tell you this from the start.
Yeah.
If you just believe me, you're fine, right? And then you get the rest, and then you get the secondary revelation.
Yeah.
And that smacks them harder, but at the same time you don't like, haha, they're all aces. I am Mr. Magic. You just like, then, oh yeah, you might have been confused with the other aces. That's okay.
Yeah.
And so you there's that moment where you just kind of, you can step back and understanding that, and always thinking about an audience as like that ebb and flow sort of thing, or really like think about an audience like you're fishing.
Yeah.
Right? It's like you gotta let go a little bit and then pull them back in. Let them go back. I do that. That's how I think about teaching all the time too. Is when I'm teaching in a classroom, a lot of the time it's about, you let the students kind of go crazy for a little bit, and then you rein them back in. Because with those moments of craziness, you can often get moments of creativity.
Yeah.
But then you have to be able to have the mechanism to pull them back in and get them focused, and then kind of let them go where they need to go.
Yeah, and in both instances, your audience has a buy-in to the experience.
Yeah.
They're not just watching magic or being having the Mickey taken out of them almost.
Yeah.
Because you're letting them experience something that they can enjoy and
Sure.
not be made to feel a fool.
Yes,
at the
exactly,
end.
exactly. Now, the only danger of this effect, I mean, I'll admit this, is that person who is your friend, they're a little hurt at that moment.
Yeah.
I've literally watched it happen where you're watching this person just get like, they're so scared, they feel so bad for you, and then they see it happen, and they go, and I've seen this, I saw this one woman, I remember very distinctly doing this one show, this one woman go, like that, like, oh, you got me, and so that's, but then at their heart they're not going to be out to get you, right?
Yeah.
In their deepest of darkest, or their deepest places, they're not evil, right? They're there, they actually want you to succeed.
Yeah.
And then when you've doubly made them, when they realize how much you've convinced them that they were wrong, that how far off they were, then it's a dangerous moment.
Yeah.
But at least then the people who are gonna do the smirk. You know exactly that kind of moment. You can say, okay, I'm going to watch that guy. Okay, yeah. So
Well, would you, as a matter of structure in a routine, if you were approaching the table and you use this as an opener,
Yeah.
would you do something like the sequence of the Get About coins afterwards, or would you not do that because
Probably
you've already done that type of
Yeah.
content?
So I usually would do something. I do something a little much more straightforward afterwards. Usually I do some sort of 4 ace effect, like 2002 aces. I do a variation of Alex Elmsley's. I'll show this. We'll throw this one in there because why not? I don't usually talk about my card stuff, but it's the reason I don't talk about card stuff is that there's so many people have card stuff, But so I do. I hope I remember this. Let's see what happens. So I do the handling of Alex Elmsley's 2002 aces, and I don't really. There's not much that's different about it except for this. Take it anyway.
Remember, keep the comments coming in, keep the reviews coming in. I'm getting a knowing nod from Sarah at the back there, so that's good. That shows that people are posting stuff, which is always good. Are we good?
Yeah, I think so.
Excellent.
All right. So yeah. A trick with the. Hold on. Yeah. No. I got. Jeez Louise. I haven't thought about this one in a while, but this is the sort of piece that I would follow it with. It's a little more. Well, it's actually kind of similar actually, with 4 aces. The 4 aces are going to go here on the table, just like so. And we're going to cover one of them. Sir, I'm going to flip the cards again. Just say stop for me.
Stop.
Right there. That's where I'm going to cut the cards. And which ace would you like? A, B, C, or 4? It doesn't matter which one. See, this one right here. That's 1, 2, 3 cards in that part of the deck. Now, do you happen to remember which ace that was? You didn't have to. That's okay. It's the ace of spades, the one that we were following earlier that you selected. Those 3 cards go there. Now, I'm going to demonstrate a little bit of sleight of hand for you. Watch carefully with the other 3 aces. And actually, you can actually put your finger on it, but you're over there. You look comfy. I don't want to bother you. Ace number 1. Ace number 2. Ace number 3. So a lot of people think I'm hiding the aces inside the deck, but no. It's the best place for me to hide them is over here underneath your fingers. That's the 4 aces right there.
Right.
So this is just I streamlined it. His handling's pretty much the same, but it's the presentation that changes it. That makes it a little bit more the sort of I wanted to look like a bad card magician is what I wanted to do with that trick.
Right.
Because I wanted it to be like, a little stifled, because you're going to load the aces under your hands. So I'm brute force for this. So I'll get a break under the 4 bottom cards face up, put the aces there, and I'll just flip the deck over. Right? And I'll spread over. You can see the 4 aces, and then turn everything over, deal out 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'll do the same. I just cut so I have the 4 aces here, right? They go into the pack, and you do the same force again. They say stop. That's where you cut the cards. You have them select one of the aces. You deal whichever one they deal on, those 3 cards. So those are 3 aces. This is an indifferent card. So you get a break here under the last, this is the last ace. And by the way, what I'll often try to do is that if they selected this ace in a previous effect, you can just put that card on the bottom of the stack, and it'll always be this card. So it's a nice little callback. You pick that up. Did you know which ace that was? It's like, oh, it's the same ace you picked, right?
Yeah.
So that, and then they see it in a different card. That flips over. 3 cards go on top, and that goes under their fingers or whatever. And now it's just acting and miming. So I pick up here. I pretend to do a bad bottom bottom palm and like square up again. I do this change, which is a really great change. You push through and show that card there, right? That is the first time I ever saw that. By the way, it was with somebody. Curtis did. He just did double lift. And he took that card and he pushed it to the center. And because I wasn't even thinking, I was just like, "How'd you do that?" And I was like, "It's a double lift." I'm like, "Oh, right. Okay." And the last one, you can't show the face, and they did flash the 3 of hearts earlier. So I come up and I just do it's just a Hofzinser Adelaide as a top change, snap change like that, and then I just have a break under the 3 that's on here. That was the card that flashed. I just place this card on top, and then I just put my thumb down and do a little flippy doodle, right? That sucks off that queen. So now they see the card they just saw a second ago. You can spread it, because a lot of people think I'm hiding the cards in different parts of the pack, but it's really the easiest place to hide it is right there under your fingers.
Yeah, lovely.
Very straightforward. So obviously we'll be doing a DVD of my card work soon.
Yes.
Anyway,
Good. We're getting waved at. This is always.
Okay, sure.
So in the trick that you did, the Dunbury delusion,
yes.
What would you do if somebody said that is my card when you'd done the kind of control for yes or no?
It's happened before, and that's why I scripted it that way. And just to kind of like, if they say that's my card, that's the only point that I will become a little snarky. I'll either ignore them, or what I'll do is I'll just blow it off and keep going, And that's like the moment where I was like, no, don't worry. This is a trick that always works. And that point, they will be. So that's going after them a little bit, because later on when it does work, it's going to hurt even more. But yeah. So I basically ignore, or if I can't ignore, like if it's loud, I just like whatever, and just kind of keep moving.
Yeah, because for them, they're going to get an automatic transposition.
Exactly.
Effect.
Yeah. Pretty much. So yeah. At the very least, they get a transposition effect, and then they get a full transformation effect otherwise. Yeah.
Cool.
So that's an excellent question. Yeah.
Any more questions before we move on?
We've got lots, but none that were as relevant as that one.
Cool. Okay. Excellent. So what are we moving on to now?
I say, why don't we? How much time do we have left? That's what I need to know.
It depends. It's 9 o'clock now.
It's 9 o'clock now. Okay. So why don't we do some? I'll do table hoppers quattro, and then we will do. And then I'll do some. We'll get into some of the edge grip things.
Ooh, wow.
We'll start really hurting people. Exciting.
So, guys, get the comments coming in. I know that we've had some comments coming in, and the questions have been great. So keep those coming in as well. And the Facebook group is still up there. If you want to comment, then please do so on there. We'd love to hear from everybody. And get thinking about some questions that you might want to ask. We good?
Yep.
Excellent. Okay, we'll go back to Kainoa with the live studio audience.
Good evening. The reason why I have these 4 coins I brought these 4 coins along because I could train each of them to do a different trick. This first coin actually seeks out the soft spots in the table, like that one right there. Let's see. There it goes, right through. That's number 1. Numbers 2 and 3, they have a strange attraction to each other. They're almost magnetic. But it means if I keep one coin over here and the other coin over here, it still works. One will jump over to be with its friend. That's what those two do. Now this last coin is the time-traveling coin. This coin actually goes back in time to where it was a moment before on the table. Right? So a lot of people say that they actually see me put the coin there on the table, but it jumps back to my fingers, which means it can't be here. Some people say they don't see the coin go backwards in time. Other people swear that they see it actually go. But of course, if that coin could really go back in time, it'd vanish from my hands and go all the way back to the table. Give me 1, 2, 3, 4 coins. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, so this is a really fun effect. I have this on DVD, so I'm not going to go through all of it, but I'll talk about like the fun points that people tend to enjoy.
Yeah.
This is another good lesson in terms of like. I know that one of the questions we were talking during the break. One of the questions was, or one of the issues may have been like, where do we go next for your coins with coin magic? If you have a couple things, or if you're just kind of starting out with coins, one of the things to think about is the narrative that we've been talking about, right? Yeah. When you learn to vanish, whether it's something as simple as the French drop, right? If you simply show them the coin, make it disappear, they're gonna think it's over here. Right? You got to give a narrative. You got to give a story. If the story can be simple as, this is the coin that has learned to, magicians use their sleeves. It's true. This is the coin I've taught to go down the sleeve. Or, this is the coin that I've taught to go up the sleeve. Same move, right? But the change of the narrative changes the rhythm and the beat and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So that's what this trick is about. Table Hoppers Quattro is about the idea that I was doing a lot of fun, fancy moves there, but you don't need to go and learn muscle passes or fingertip muscle passes. We'll talk about the fingertip muscle pass. You don't need to do all those things in order to do this routine. With one move, you can do this entire narrative with just one vanish. That's the coin. I'm going the wrong way. That's the coin that goes to the table, right? This coin has a strange attraction to this coin. Jumps across, right? Just with one move, you can do all this, and it gives you. So in terms of like thinking about like, okay, if I just have a couple quarters, right? You don't have to have 4, right? You can have 3. You can have 2. Another way to think about this is that this is a 1 coin routine done with 4 coins, right? Mm-hmm. So if this coin, this coin have a strange coin. It's one. Sometimes it sneaks to the table. Sometimes then at this point, since you don't have any friends, right? If you have 1 coin, you don't have to get that interaction moment, but that's okay. There are a lot of different ways you could go. So I'll run through this routine. The first part is you take the first coin and you put it through the table, right? And right now, this is the fun part. So go home and put a coin through the table for somebody. If you're already home, go downstairs or upstairs. Hopefully you're not in your parents' basement right now. Claw your way out from all the pizza boxes, go upstairs and put a coin through the table with one vanish. You can just take that coin, push it through the table, right? And use that sound, because that aural nature, the sound of that, right, is what makes this really work. You can be really mean with this. Well, that's not the spot. Right? You can do that. You can be like, you can saw, whatever you want. But that sound effect really kills people. Just remember that it's easy to do when I'm sitting down. Just make sure your elbow's underneath the edge of the table. Because if not, they see this, right? And that just looks wrong. But if they can't see that motion, it's okay. So that's the first coin goes to the table. Go put a coin through the table. For the effort of just doing this, it's a payoff for lay people is great. It's a very strong opener. The next thing you're going to do is these 2 coins have a strange attraction to each other. Almost magnetic. That is the fingertip muscle pass. The fingertip muscle pass works in the same principle as, I talk about this in a bunch of other places, but it works the same principle as tiddlywinks. I don't know if it's going to work in this close-up pad. Yeah, it's not going to show up in this close-up pad. But if you have a firm surface, it shows up. But the way to think about this is that the 2 fingers here, these 2 fingers, my index finger and middle finger, are the hard surface. Okay? So the picture here. And my thumb, what you do is, if you hold it out your fingertips like this, you're not going to get it's not going to do much. But if you make a circle like this, what that does is it gives these index fingers a little bit chance to move. Now you're not just throwing the coin, because that's not going to look as good. What you're doing is you create this tension, and then you pull back on the thumb. That's what makes it go. Now we have another coin, and you have this nice solid moment of clinkiness, right? Clink, right? And this is exactly the way that my friend Curtis would perform this. He would do this. He'd walk around like this. And the problem is people would still say, well, you can see your thumb moving, right? And maybe you're flicking it. So what I said to him was like, well, why don't you just bring it up to your chest level like this? So now when you conceal the motion of the thumb, because it's going behind the fingers, the coin jumps across. Now the cool thing about this is that even though these fingers move, the speed of these fingers in no way, shape, or form explains the speed at which the coin is moving at. I mean, it looks like it just jumps. But you don't need to learn this. It's a knacky move. You can play with it. Don't get frustrated with it. If you just want to pick up 2 coins, this is another nice little gag to do. Not just gag. This is magical to people. You say, oh, these are those magnetic coins. If you just grab coins out of somebody's hand, oh yeah, you got these new magnetic ones. And all this is I'm going to push down. I'm just going to hold the coins here with my thumbs and fingers, and I'm just going to push down on that coin. And I'm just going to let it slide off my thumb. And it creates a magnetic moment, right? And so you don't have to do difficult miming, because you're actually like pushing it off that thumb is what creates the resistance. So you don't have to really get into the acting part of it, right? It's just there. So, and then I do the vanish that we've already been talking about. And that's coins across. Now notice that this isn't like, because I have 4 coins, I have to put them all through the table. Or because I have 4 coins, I have to make them all go across, right? Yeah. I'm doing different effects with each of the coins. And that's what makes it better. And then you can do all this other stuff like the table load, right? Where because I misdirect upwards, you're most likely, they don't look down, right? You're here. And also this other vanish, which will hurt the viewers at home.
This is cool.
This is a, you saw that one point where I put the coin under my hand, and then it jumps back to my fingertips because it was never there. And this is a rub-a-dub vanish without, so it's the same as, it works in the same principle as that, right? That retention, right? That same sort of work. You're going to do it with a coin, and the mechanism is that you're just going to drop the coin, it's going to fall into fingertip rest. So it's here, between thumb and thumb and index finger, and you just let it go. Boop. That's it. Okay? Now, if you time it right, as with all retention passes, the timing has to be the cover in hand. So this comes in, they see the coin fall, and the hand covers. Oh, that looked painful. That looks so good. I'm sorry. Just sit here and do this all night long. La 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 with the coin. Oh yeah, and it's gone. Right. This is another way to do coin through table too. You can put the coin there. You have to put their hand on top, and then you can make it go through. But that's the mechanism. The mechanism of this moment. I mean, they have to see the coin fall, and the coin never touches the table, which is weird, right? They have to see the coin fall, and that's how you're going to get that burn. So that's a little bit of mirror practice there.
Is this a vanish that you could also do into the hands?
Yep, yep. And this is what I do all the time for in the hands. It's really cool if you don't want to do the muscle pass, because you can. The coin falls behind the screen of the fingers, and so they see the coin. What you'll see is you see the coin fall in the hand, right? And so if you don't want to do a muscle pass, I've been doing this lately. If I don't feel like working hard, I'll just do that vanish and whoop.
Nice. Yep.
You get a little bit of that coin flying up, right? It looks good, right?
Good.
So, and that's just the nature of this. They're convinced it's there, and then right that extra, you're laughing at the sound effects, aren't you?
Yeah, no, okay. That just looks amazing.
Okay, so that's I do the sound effects in my head, but because I'm talking about it, I have to do it out loud. Actually, I think that's true. I don't know what would happen if I didn't do the sound effects out loud. But that's just the nature of the beast. Anyway, so that's Table Hoppers Quattro. Again, my whole point of this is that if you want to start off with coin magic, just learn one vanish, and then make sure you give that vanish a narrative. and get a couple coins, and then figure out what story you want to tell with those coins. I know a couple people who do this, so they have variations on this routine, and they're like, "Can I teach it?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, as long as you give me credit for it." Well, they're like, "This is Curtis's idea, actually, but I'm just the one who added the ending." Oh, the ending hurts. I'm sorry, I forgot about the ending. The ending is this: you make that last coin vanish using your favorite method. It's really just there, and the entire time of this routine, you've had a shell sitting on top of this one coin here. Yeah, so that's just been there like that. You've been stacking them up. So this last coin, the one goes back in time where it was one before the table. A nest, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, but Kainoa, I don't have an expanded shell. That's all right, Mr. Magician or Miss Magician. I don't know why you talk the way you do, but you just got to stop sucking on the helium. If you don't have that coin, have a spell, the way the original ended was that you'd make this last one vanish, and then you'd pick up the other 3, and you'd do a utility pass. So they say 3 and 3, and you'd say, I hope you don't mind. I got to do this trick for some other people. Can I borrow this one from you?
Yeah.
And that's a nice ending, right? And if you have a group of people, what I also do is I'd say, I got to do this trick for other people. I hope you don't mind. Oh, you look upset about it here. You keep that one, and then you go to someone else and pull a coin off of them.
Yeah.
Pulling a coin off a spectator is something you should do. It's worth saving to the end. I don't know why. It's all you're doing is you have a coin here, and you're doing that. That's it. But you just do it near them. And people just like, oh, he pulled a coin for me. I'm like, but it's like the coin through table. Like the amount of effort that you put into it, what you get out of it, the payoff is so much more important. So produce coins off of people. It's a good thing.
So I have when you were talking there about even basic vanishes in the context of the routine will work. We talked yesterday about the intention behind vanishes. So when you're putting something in your hand, the believability of that.
Yeah,
Can you just talk a little bit about that?
Sure.
Because we did touch on it a little bit last night.
Sure. Well, I think the thing about a lot of people, most people don't realize, and this comes down to like with vanishing balls, right? I mean, they're back here, so I'm going to grab them. Is that if I'm going to do a ball vanish, right? You don't. If you're holding the ball, it takes up space, right?
Yeah. So
I'm like looking at it back here, but from the audience perspective, it has to take up space. If I don't take the ball, it should still take up space, right? There's no ball, but you have to fake that it's there. Coins are flatter objects; they're weirder objects, right? So, but you still shouldn't be like holding on to them like this, right? They need to. If I drop that coin there, I give a little bit of air, and that bounce. If you do a retention pass and you get a little bit of bounce on it too, at the same point in space where you do the retention, people will say that they still see the coin there. I mean, they see the coin go in, you bounce a little bit, then it's gone. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, actually feeling that in your mind, feeling that coin there. And that's the hardest thing to teach people, really, because you see when they're first learning to vanish something, it makes no sense to anybody. I can't do it now. But I remember when the first time, like, okay, so wait, I have to turn this hand over and then close this hand, even though nothing is going in. It's such a confusing moment, right? Which is why so much of it, once you learn the mechanism, you have to learn it in a sort of mechanistic way and then build back to make it more natural for you. But so the object, if you're going to have an object, if I have a retention, if I'm putting that coin there, I have to bounce it around. I can feel it. That's why I like vanishes. Different people have different theories on vanishes. I know Gregory Wilson always says like he goes for speed with the vanish. So they think the coin's there, bam, it's gone. I'm more of like, maybe they'll see it go piece by piece.
Yeah. I
don't know. But I'm up to giving them the chance, right? Yeah. I'm up to giving them the chance to do that. That to me is important. So, but as long as you make sure that the object, when you don't have an object, you still pretend that there's something there, that you believe that there's something there. A lot of, like, even with this simple thing of that idea of dropping the hand, right? Feeling the weight. With the click pass, it's the same way. The click pass I was teaching earlier, if you just go, don't really move, but there's got to be that little bit of a bounce there. And that's what creates that conviction.
Yeah.
And hopefully the sound matches the bounce with the click pass, right? And then hopefully, since there's no sound here, you just have to make sure that there's definitely that weight.
Yeah. Going back to the click pass, I'm thinking about it there, and in this sort of discussion, we'll gloss over that. when you did that earlier on, the whole of your body sort of rocked back a little bit.
Yeah.
So you not only had the weight here,
Yeah.
but you had that moment of relaxation as
Yeah.
well, because this was done on an offbeat moment.
Mhm.
So you whereas moving forward, when coins are jumping,
Yeah.
you're forward, and then when a move is necessary happening in the context of something like a count, not only do you get the weight here, but the whole of your body relaxes as well.
Sure. Yeah.
So that just adds to the naturalness of what's taking place as well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Did we have any questions, Sarah?
We've got a practical one about storing coins. So how do you store coins when you're gigging and using lots of different coins?
Well, what I use is the Kainoa Harbottle pocket management system, also known as the PMS. It wasn't my idea to call it that. But yeah, I have a friend of mine who makes these. I get them occasionally on my site, and what this is it's a little coin wallet that's designed for pocket access. So what I have is I have this, and I have a bunch of coins. I have a whole other set of coins in here. I got a whole bunch of other stuff in here. You can have like dice, whatever. And then if I don't want to use these coins, that goes in the case. And then if I need to do a stand-up set, right? I have another one because they come in different colors. I didn't think I was going to be doing an ad for this right now, but now this is my stand-up set, right? So this is the half crowns, right? So I know when I look at this, I know that this one is for that set.
Yeah.
So I really got this because I used to have a version of one that comes out of Carl Andrews used to have a pocket version, but it was too small. I used to have to like rip parts of it apart. And then I said, I just want it to fold over because now, for me, if I'm traveling, especially if I'm doing getting on a plane, I set off alarms like no tomorrow on the plane because my bag just looks like a big glowing mass of metal because that's all they can see because I have so much metal. And this just is a way for me to organize and not worry about my coins just flopping around. So this helps me to keep organized. So that's one method. You can use coin purses, obviously. There are all sorts of different types with zippers or whatever you want. But for me, and this kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier, actually, to get back to that issue of producing coins, right? I try to keep them with access so that I can make them appear. For me, the big difference between cards and coins, cards are about magic of information, right? They're about illusions of informational control. If you think about it, that's why cards have identities, right? We treat them as objects, but for lay people, it's like, how do you know what my card was, right? We usually think, as magicians, well, how do I control the card, right? What lay people think is, how do you know what my card was? He must have known.
Yeah.
Which you think about is ridiculous, right? Because there are a lot of card tricks. If you just hold a break above the card and then double undercut, you do a double lift, you show it's not their card, you put that card down, you snap your fingers, you turn it over, now their card. That's the moment they see that card is the moment you realize what their card is.
Yeah.
But for you, right? But for you as the magician, it's like, no, I don't need to know the information. But for lay people, it's often like, well, he must have known my card somehow. That's how he found it. They're not concerned about the finding, they're concerned about the knowing.
Yeah.
Whereas we're always concerned about the finding. Coins are about presence and absence. So that's why I think producing coins, that's why I don't usually just take out a coin purse, open it up, put the coins out, put it away, right? Because it basically turns coins into packet tricks.
Yeah.
Right? Which is fine. I mean, I love packet tricks. I have my little packet tricks with me, all the time. I love them. But that's what those cards do, right? I could make them appear, but that's not what they're about. They're about the identity of those cards. Whereas with coins, they're about presence and absence. So if I'm going to pick them up and make them all disappear, and then put them away in a coin, it's like, why? What just happened? Why did we do that? And that's why for me, making them initially appear is so important. The key to that is a lot of practice if you're going to be doing difficult versions. I already shared with you the Easy Miser version, right? Where you're just relying on that one move, that click pass, where you don't have to palm lots of coins. You're actually using a technique called the one behind technique. And that's also a Mike Gallo concept, which is you can get away with a lot using that concept. So, yeah. So I'd say produce coins. One of the productions I did earlier is right out of Larry Jennings. It's a shake production where you reach out with a little bit of nothing and then you just give it a little shake and the coin appears, right? It looks very pretty and it's simple. It's easy as sin. You're just going to push that coin from finger palm to the fingertips as you do this little shaking gesture. And, you know, I'll show this to people and they'll go, you mean like this? I'm like, you're not trying to like get a cab or land a plane. All you're trying to, it's just this rotation of the hand, so it's just really focused. It's a focused location, but it's not because of this, the larger movement is covering the smaller motion.
Yeah.
And it's as you it's the speed up and then the slowing down that the coin just slowly kind of materializes. It's a very pretty production, like I said, from Larry Jennings. So that's a very nice, and you can use that with the Easy Miser. You just produce that first coin like that, and then produces another one however you want. So so getting into productions, that's an easy point to get into. After that, and getting into productions, you start to get into stack work, and holding out lots and lots of coins and just.
Which we'll get to very shortly.
Very shortly, actually. Let me show you a little bit more with the edge grip stuff. And I'll just stop talking about it. Just do it. Excuse me. I shall return.
So, guys, keep the reviews coming in. Keep the comments coming in. I'll give you a couple of seconds. I'm getting used to this now. Like literally, like second transposition. We're good. Excellent. Okay, so I'll hand you over to the studio audience.
Yay! Oh, thank you. So let me show you something with 4 coins. Well, you know what? The problem with 4 coins is that they're kind of confusing, right? So I tell you what. Let me just do something for you with just 3. Well, if you think about it, 3 are kind of close to 4, right? So I tell you what. Let me just do the trick for you with just the 2. Well, 2 are very similar to 3, right? So maybe let me just do the trick for you with just the 1. Well, there's not much you can just do with 1 coin, unfortunately. But I think since I made the other ones disappear, they're just kind of floating here in the air. We'll take this last one, we'll just ball it up, put it right there with the rest. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Whenever I need to, I can scoop them all back up again. I know they're a little hard to see, but when I wave, they come back. All right, so edge grip.
Yeah.
So this is the handling that I do now of a trick that I came up with a long time ago called pendulum hanging coins. And pendulum hanging coins, this is in Coins on Edge. That's a problem. I call it the pendulum problem. It's the idea, I don't know why that's here. It doesn't need to be here. You go over there. What's the pendulum problem was the idea that it's another way to prove that you don't have anything in your hand, right? So the idea would be you'd vanish this coin here, right? It would disappear. And then you'd pick this one up and you'd vanish it there, right? So you go back and forth in terms of the vanishes as a way to prove that the vanishes actually occurred. So before they can say, oh, it's in your other hand, you're already vanishing something into the other hand.
Yeah.
So this is my solution for it. I'll run through the technique very, very quickly with the new ending that I've used, which is new ending. I mean, this was published in 2003, but it's going to hurt. Can I have the overhead camera, please? Hi. Okay.
We'll screenshot that.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Yes, great, wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So what's going to happen is I'm going to do the exact same vanish I've been doing this whole time. The retention pass I talked about earlier. That middle finger is going to come out. The index finger and thumb are going to come forward. Now you see how the coin's kind of balanced there. What that allows me to do is to put the coin back a little bit and put it into edge grip. Now my edge grip, if you know the original edge grip from David Roth, that edge grip is a little bit more forward. Or if you learn like some of the portal stuff that people do, where they get the crazy angle that from the front, you can't see anything. You're like standing there like this, and then you're making the coin appear. I mean, this is just a variation on edge grip. And the original is very much for the front. I move it back, so it's somewhere between Downs palm and edge grip. Okay. So that first coin, I'm going to do a retention pass. So just with 3 fingers, right? And now that coin goes into edge grip. So I can wave. That's the first vanish. Now, hey, we've already talked about this. Now I'm going to do the fingertip utility pass. Show 3 coins. Show 3 coins. Same move, right? I'm just going to steal that bottom coin with the second finger so it can go up into edge grip in this hand. Yes, I'm doing edge grip with both hands. There's no reason not to be ambidextrous with coins. With cards, it makes sense that we kind of just focus with one hand doing one thing, but with coins, it makes perfect sense for us to learn the moves with both hands. That's how this works. The strange thing about this, and there's not a lot of other people who do this, Curtis Cam has a version. Garrett Thomas has a version of this. Mine's the one that pretty much uses the same palm throughout. So I'm going to take the bottom coin of the fan. I'm going to do the exact same move. I'm going to steal the coin with my middle finger. It's a retention pass, right? So exposed. And now that coin's going to go right in underneath the one already there. So now I have two. Try to expose that two and edge grip. So what they see from the front, they see the coin go to that hand, you wave, 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 coin gone. Now there are a couple things you can do here. In the original write-up, I do what I call for an X for X change. These two coins, I'm going to flip down, and the feed those right into this hand's edge grip. So as the hand comes up, it goes right in. And then these two fingers come back and grab the coins exposed that were in edge grip. So in other words, what you're doing is you're constantly cleaning up the hands through these gestures. So you're here, oops, to here. Now you can do the exact same thing again. Boom. That coin goes right into edge grip using the same method, right? So it's going right underneath there. That's exposed. That's obviously the exposed version. So I can then take and wave. But now I'm stuck. And I have a couple choices here. You can roll a coin, by the way, if you want to try with a coin and edge grip. Now what you can do, here comes the really, if you thought that part was, this is the fun part. You're going to push this whole stack down to nowhere palm, just like that. You literally just take the stack, you push it down with your thumb, and rotate it. It kicks up a little bit, so it's hard to show, but it just rotates downward. Might be better from a straight on shot exposed in here. Let me see. So here, and you just push down. You tilt the back end, the closest part close to your thumb up, and then push down, so you can take the whole stack in nowhere palm. Go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It takes a while to learn. Trust me. Now you're nowhere palm. You're going to take the last coin, and you're going to do the same vanish you've been doing, but the entire time you've been doing it with the middle finger, you're now going to do it with the third finger. So what that allows it to do is go in and go right underneath that stack. So now you have all four coins in nowhere palm. And if you do it to speed, you get retention pass here, ball it up, hang that one in the air with the rest. And the joke that I usually do for magicians is that, this is the last one, this is the hardest one to vanish. Even David Roth couldn't vanish this one. But then I say, no, he actually taught me the secret method. That's when you just ball it up like this, put it in the air. That gives you all four in the air. Scoop them all up again, just like so. And that push through steals at work, right? At speed. So that should be a little depressing because it's edge grip, and edge grip is tough, especially if you're doing it in both hands. But it's one way to solve the pendulum problem. Now, I'll show you one more thing, but I'm not going to explain it because we don't have time. Because if you thought that took a while. But I want to show you what happens if you take this technology and apply it in a different way.
I'm just not going to say anything. I'm just going to wait. There we go. Thumbs up? Yep, that's good.
So a lot of people ask me how coins vanish. How do you do it? And I say, well, it's actually a two-step process. Let me show you. Let me make sense so you know what it sort of looks like in action, right? 4 coins. I'm going to take one of those coins. I'm going to squeeze. It looks like I'm just like hanging it in the air there like that. Just disappears. And that's actually what's happening. But like I said, it's a two-step process. The first part is this. I'm going to take the coin, I'm going to squeeze, and I'm going to start to turn it so that it starts to lose its mass. It actually starts to become a little, sort of almost like transparent. Now, can you see the coin over here? No. Can you see it over here? Yeah. Okay. It takes a little bit to eventually see it. You see, same size, same shape as the other coins, right? But it's losing its mass, and so I can just take it and turn it outside. Just let it float in the air like that. See, that's how you make it disappear. Yeah. So same thing. These are this too. Just blow. Let that one start to lose its mass. Take that one. Just turn outside right there. Now this last one is the tough one. But people say they see me turn it invisible like that. Just give it a squeeze. Just let it float right there in the air. Reach up, grab it again, and give it another squeeze. It comes back. Remember we placed one over here before we began? Remember same size, same shape as the coins. You let it spend time with the coins, it eventually goes back to being a coin. There's the other one here. I can take that one, just give it a squeeze, wave, it too goes back to being a coin. There's the one at the very start before I explained everything. Now the problem is this one has been in an altered state for so long. It has a hard time going back. So what I have to do is just take that, put it back in the hand, let it spend some more time with the coins. All I have to do is wait, and eventually you have all 4 coins again. All right, so that is called A Lesson in Coinjuring. I published it a long time ago. It is, so that's, you can see if you watch it for structure, it's literally the same as the pendulum problem. It's pendulum hanging coins, but there's another little devious thing in there. And that's this little bad boy. This is just a plastic disc. And it's just a way to, it gives another beat, right, to all the vanishes. Because at first it's, because now it's a transformation, then a vanish. Mm-hmm. And I feel really bad too because, well, no, I won't tell that story. But it's a fun and innovative way to have little something that they can barely see, right? And I love that moment where you say, "Can you see it over here?" And they say no, and you just hold it behind your fingertips, and then you just come up, "Can you see it over here?" Eventually, some people can see it, right? And it's like this instantaneous transformation. Again, larger motion, right? But that takes a lot of practice. So, but I just like to show people, yeah, if you get the edge grip down, that's sort of, then there are like other levels and stuff you can add to it.
And if you guys do decide to play with that sort of thing, then we do actually have an A14ka5am product that is very close to that.
Do you really? Okay.
Yeah, called
okay,
Ice
good.
Coins. So
all right, there you go.
There we go. Just one last question. Edge grip is a kind of an unfamiliar technique to a lot of people.
Yep.
Can you just briefly explain, because you've mentioned a couple of times nowhere palm, curl palm, and edge grip.
Sure.
The sort of the very basics of what happens, getting a coin into it, and then moving about between the two.
Sure. Curl palm is really like you see some people use it. But curl palm is where you're here with the stack and you're just holding on with just the second finger. It's a little unnatural position. I think the more natural position to like to stay here and wait like this. I think a more natural position is to work from the nowhere palm or third finger curl palm, which is just that third finger holding onto the coins, right? The thing about edge grip is that you can get to it a lot of ways, especially with a group of coins. If you're in finger palm, you can just lever the stack up with your thumb. That gets you, you just go to the bottom of the stack just like that. No, okay, I've been doing this for a long time, but that's what happens. And so that takes a little bit of practice. And as I was always showing, you can push this whole stack down with the tip of your thumb, just down so it goes to the third finger there. So I'll show you the basic, the original handling of hanging coins that David Roth would do. Is that what you would do is you turn the coins on edge. He'd take the coins here into edge grip, and then he'd do a fake put. And it's interesting because the only problem with it is that you're literally showing the audience how it works, right? When you turn down in order to take the coins, you're literally showing the fact that you're concealing these coins by putting them on their edge to the audience. So it's a little dangerous, and that's what he would do. That's what you keep doing. You keep loading them in there, and it's actually a very comfortable way to do it. But there are a lot of different techniques. I prefer to keep the coins fanned like this. You can reach up and you can cover the bottom coin, and instead of just doing something, what you're going to do instead is that you just push down with this second finger so the coin just flops over like this. So it's so now its edge is pointed to the audience. That happens under the cover of the hand, and now I have the coin in edge grip, right? So if it just flops over like that, and you can do a fake put. You can also do the vanish that I've been doing from a fan. So I'm just going to steal that bottom coin right into edge grip. Okay? And that can be done as a fake take. Reach up. Gone. Or you can do the retention pass, which is what I prefer because it looks a little bit better. So there are a lot of different ways you can get into this position. So like I said, the main difference between the way I do it, David would keep it up towards closer to the fingers. Down's palm is farther back here. The issue with edge grip is that you have to be able to get to those coins as quickly as possible. And so you don't want it too far back, too far forward. You want it just right. Because as I often point out to people, and they're terrified by this, it is the same finger that you're holding the coins with. That second finger is the finger that's going underneath the stack and grabbing those coins out. And Bertini does it a different way. Bertini actually, Giacomo Bertini drops the coin out and catches it on a third finger. That's another way to do it. I'm just a little more brute force, get into it kind of position, kind of guy.
And you mentioned about nowhere palm, which is
Yep.
the lower curl palm.
Yeah.
Again, there's not. I mean, this is one that would be viewed pretty much from the front. I mean, you can open
Yeah.
your hand like this if you really want to.
Yeah, exactly.
But I guess it's just about knowing how the coins move about in your hand.
Sure. So I mean, this just comes with practice. Again, using soft coins help, because soft coins, they don't have, no, the difference between soft coins and regular coins, that these coins are so old, is that they just don't have as much of the surface, of the definition. You know, if you see an original barber, it looks totally different from what mine look like, because so much of the surface has been worn away over time. And I do worry about the actual amount of silver that I'm going to have in my body when I die, because I've been touching these coins for so long. I'm certain they pass through the cellular structure, and let's not talk about that. Anyway, so what comes from comfort of this, sorry, is that you can push the stack up, you can push it back down again, and that's just levering the stack. If you want it to go upwards, you lever down and then push up. Now these fingers move a little bit to help. If you want the stack to go back down again, you lever up and push downward. It's not like if you try this too hard, they're going to go everywhere. Mm-hmm. Again, this is a gentle sort of thing. Definitely a gentle sort of thing to play with. Yeah, so that's kind of how I move them around. With finger palm, going from finger palm, you can cheat a little bit. You don't just have to try to lever it up with the thumb. I actually pull in with my second finger a little bit and push out with the third finger to get a little more space. But the problem is that makes the front of the hand look a little So you just make sure that's done in a moment of misdirection, right? Then it's okay. Yeah.
Brilliant. Any questions before we move on?
Yeah, we've got a couple, please. Coin rolls. How do you recommend someone learns to roll a coin?
Yeah. So I just want to say, how much time do you want me to go for? Because I can go for a little bit. I can show some more card stuff, but if
it's 9:30 now. We normally aim to finish around about 10:10, 20 to 11, if we can.
Oh, okay, 10:30. Oh, okay. So we got lots of time.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. All right. So let's talk about coin rolling. The thing with coins is, I think with learning the roll is learn to do it with one hand first, and learn it the proper way. And the proper way is to curl the fingers in, I say, because that's then and as minimal amount of muscle movement as possible to get those coins to go. The way it starts is that it just falls over, right, and the next finger catches it, falls over, next finger catches it, falls over. Now you have to learn something different with the pinky. The pinky actually has to learn to grab that coin, and so that you can suck it into the hand again. So it's basically clipped here. Now the thumb can push it up along the fingers, and then you just start the process over again. And that takes a while. This is the very first thing. The reason I do it so well is I've been doing it for 30 some odd years probably. It was the very first thing I ever learned. Before I could do any coin magic, I learned to roll a coin, and I would sit there and do this, and people would go, "Oh, you're a magician?" I'm like, "Yeah, let me show you a card trick." And I have to get out my cards and then do something with that, because I was too scared to do coin magic. So that is the basic of that, getting that muscle work, getting comfortable with that muscle work. It looks better the less that it looks like you're moving your fingers. So when you start out, your fingers will be like, right? But as you train, you got to make sure those fingers come in a little bit so that it's about the minimalist of the movement. That's what really sells it. And that's also going to help you get some speed. You can do all sorts of things with this. So you can go down, you can go back, you can go inside. You can go down here. You can have it come up at your, you can have it, let's see what will work tonight. You have it come up at your fingertips, boo, 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 right? But you don't have to learn that, but this is a fun thing to do. If you want to increase speed, what you can do once you get this basic part down, the muscles, is that what you do is you get a little chance, so you take a little more chances, and you start to change the angle. Because if you're doing this with the coin, the fingers basically at the same parallel to the floor. The problem is that then those muscles really have to move, right? But if you change the angle of the hand so it's not parallel to the floor, it actually starts to move, the pinky starts to move towards the floor. Now what you're doing is you're allowing gravity to help out with the speed of the coin. And eventually what you learn is that it's not about moving the coin, it's just about catching the coin, right? So here, when your hand's flat, those fingers have to move. Here, these fingers just have to catch.
Yeah.
So that's if you want it. So when you want to go fast, don't rely on your muscles. Rely on gravity.
Yeah, it is a really weird feeling because once you get the speed going on it, the fact that it looks like you actually get the feel of the tumbling action, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It literally feels like it's skipping across the knuckles.
Yep.
Because of that added element of gravity as well.
Yeah.
Is now the right time to talk about the other part of?
We'll say that for the end.
Okay.
Any other questions that we need to do?
Yes. Shall we finish the questions we've got, and then if anyone's got
Sure.
others, they can get them. So I've got two more. One is about reducing the kind of talking noise that coins make, both between coins and the difference between coin and shell. If you've got any thoughts on that.
Sure. Sound in terms of coin and shell?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's tough. So the way to reduce talking with coins is by going for softer coins than going with. There's more definition on the coins are going to make more noise. It's just the way it's the way it's going to be. Now, through practice, you can get you can reduce the sound. But the softer the coins are, so the less surface, the less structure the coin actually has on the face, they're going to grab onto each other more, and they're actually going to hold on to each other, and that's what's going to help you control the stack and minimize noise. There's always going to be a little bit of noise. When I'm working and performing, I can hear the coins, but that's because I know what they sound like. It's a little bit of clickiness, right, for me. So if you're using like Clad Kennedys, they're going to make more noise. I wish last night actually somebody had a question like how do you make the softness, and I said, well, part of it is the coins, part of it is also practice. We're talking about the push through steel and how you can get it to be quiet. And I grabbed his coins, which I think were half where Kennedy has, and I did the move, and it was completely quiet. So that does come with some of that does come with practice, and just being comfortable with a stack. The one thing I forgot to mention about edge grip, which I should say, because it's about this comfort really with stack work. To make them make them quieter is to be more comfortable with the position. If you think about edge grip, there's a reason why it's not a palm. It's called a grip, not a palm. That's because your hand, your thumb, and your fingers are doing exactly what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to grab things, right? That's what you're doing. You're just holding them by the edge. That's why it's called edge grip. So it's in some ways, even though it makes people look freaked out, it's about getting comfort with that position, because unlike classic palm, unlike thumb palm, unlike finger palm, right? You actually have the thumb and fingers working together, and so you should feel a little more confident with this position, or at least it should be a way to get thinking about it as ideally a more comfortable position. So the thing with talking really comes down to confidence with the stack work, with the moves, and I wrote coins on edge over the period of a year, where I invented a lot of this stuff, where I invented a lot of this edge grip where the idea of trying to get those coins in as quietly as possible, that was part of the work. So I wrote the trick before I could do it. I'm like, this is how it has to work. It has to be like this. Now I have a whole year to learn this, and that's what I did. So I eventually I changed things along the way. I was like, that's not going to work. Erase that. All right, but it works this way. So it helps if you create the move. That's why I can make things pretty quiet. But a lot of that does come from just confidence with the move. Literally learning to take these 4 coins one at a time. That's number 1. That's number 2. That's number 3. You can hear the coins, right?
Yeah, even though I can hear them, it is barely still.
Yeah, it's really soft. And if you're in an ambient noise space, like in a restaurant or something, that can cover a lot of the noise. Shells are tough. Because they're going to always sound a little different So let's do it on a. So that's that, and then that's that. So the ideal thing is to make sure, do your best not to let the surface of the shell catch the other coins, because there's a good chance, whether it's nested, if it's unnested, it's even worse, right? Because it should sound like that. If it's unnested, right, it doesn't sound good. So ideally, you arrange things so that you don't have to let the shell touch the other coins. False count I was showing you is a really great way to do this, actually. The click pass. So what I'll do is I'll go 1. So I have a coin with a shell on it. I don't want it to hit. I'll go 1, 2, 3. So I do the click pass here as I'm putting this coin in. So that extra clink covers the sound a little bit more. Or if I have 4 coins and 1 coin's a shell, I'll count 1, 2, 3. I'll hold back the shell, 4.
Yeah.
So a good way to avoid that tinny noise, whatever you want to call it, is just make sure the shell doesn't touch the other coins. And work around, and when you're designing your routines, to make sure you're always aware of where that shell is.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right.
Borrowed coins.
Borrowed coins, yeah.
If someone lends you a coin and asks to see something, what would you do?
What do I usually will do a 1 coin routine. And depending on the size of the coin, there's a lot you can do. Quarters, back home quarters would be the one I'd most likely get from people. So some of the stuff like the muscle pass stuff isn't going to work. Okay. But you can still do enough, if you have enough vanishes, or rather enough narrative structures to work on, right? Then you can really make this work for people. You can take whatever they have and so they give you a pound-sized coin. Oh yeah, look like a quarter. Well, we'll make it home for the English here. So you can still get the vanish, but again, because it's a smaller coin, it's not going to be as impressive. So the 1 coin routine I always turn to is actually David Ross Flurry, which is a great. For me, it's the presentation that you give. And I say, do you want to learn how to do coin magic? And they say, sure. I say, well, maybe you've never seen it before. I'm going to make sure you know what it looks like. See, what happens is I take the coin, I squeeze, it vanishes, and appears over here. Well, sometimes I'll take the coin, and I'll squeeze, and it vanishes, and it appears over here. Well, sometimes I'll take the coin, give it a hard enough squeeze, it vanishes from here, but it doesn't appear over here, it actually appears on this sleeve. So you know which sleeve to watch. And that's a setup, right? And that's why Flurry works so nicely, is that it's a strong vanish over here, it's another strong vanish over here, it's waiting for the guy to say it's in your other hand, and then you do the classic Spider grip vanish, thank you. Where instead of not taking the coin, you actually take the coin, you put it in a palm position where it's classic palm, whether it's thumb palm, depending on the size of the coin, and make it disappear so that they think this hand is empty, and then you can show the other hand empty, right? And the classic version of this is to show it in French drop position, pick the coin up as if you're doing a French drop, flex here, coin's in classic palm, and then show this hand empty. Now, the danger of that is that does kind of reinforce the idea, well, it's not here, well, it's got to be over here, but it's not, right? So the problem with that psychologically. So that's why when I usually do a spider grip, I don't do that. Right. So what I do is I go for symmetry with spider grips. So what I'll do is so in other words, instead of flexing here and flexing here, I'll say this last coin I'll take and vanish like that. So I'll do a double flex down. And that symmetry for me is what makes it a little bit easier for the audience. So I can flex down and then I can relax the hand because it's just gravity at this point, right? The coin's just sitting here. It just vanishes like that. Go ahead and open your hand. So by doing acts of symmetry is a way to clean up those vanishes. We haven't talked about that very much, but with 1 coin, it's very easy to, instead of taking the coin and making it disappear, you can take the coin, make it so tiny that you can't see it anymore, right? And then put it back together again. So that's how symmetry. So when the JW grip came out, right, or when it was popularized, I think the Nabil change and the Nabil vanish. I don't remember. I think that's how a lot of people first knew about it, even though it's been around for a while. You'd see a lot of people doing this. Coin's invisible, right? And this hand can do whatever it wants, and this hand just freezes, right? Yeah. in dragon position, right? And so what I think about when I do this is that, okay, if you're going to get in that position, both hands should match, right? So I'm going to come up, I'm just going to do a fingertip retention pass right out of the David Roth books. And I come up, and now this hand is the JW grip coin, right? This hand goes in the same position. So you see, empty, 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 Ramsey display. So it's empty, 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 and then you can make it come back, or you can just move on, right? Or it appears in the spectator's hand, or it appears underneath the cards, or wherever it appears, right? And that symmetry is the way, I think, is the best way to create the illusion of a vanish, more so than just doing this and letting this hand dead and hope and pray they don't look. So it's a different way. So this is, instead of using a narrative, this is a way to change the technique. There are a lot of ways you can do this. You can just squeeze the coin down into nothingness, right? Pull it back up again. But anytime, or even if you're going to just take a coin and put it into nowhere palm, so you can get that extra bit of flex with both hands.
Yeah.
That's you show with both hands. So it's not like it's gone and that's not here, right? It's the idea that the coin's gone, because if the coin was gone, it would just be gone.
Yeah.
Right. You don't need to think about it, right? And that's why when you can actually get into those crazy positions where the coin is gone, right, and then comes back, if you could get in those crazy positions, right? If you don't want to, if you want to, those moments just further emphasize when you can't get in those positions.
Yeah.
So when I do a lot of one coin work, it'll be like a vanish over here, just to kind of taunt those people who think they know, and then we'll just go crazy, and then we'll start to get into the stuff like the Harada grip, where you can bend your hand back here because you're palming it behind your hand. If you've never got a DVD, the Harada grip DVD, it's hysterical. The guys who do it are totally into it. They'll palm 2 coins back here in this position. They'll be their starting position. But the coolest thing, the funny thing for me, is that they end up with coin hickeys, like these big red marks back here. And so this guy does a lot of Harada grip. So it's a fun DVD to watch, but it's a nice way to get into this position where you're here. So thinking about that issue of so how do we get into symmetry again? How do we get from here?
Well,
it was
the one coin routine.
Oh, the one coin routine. Yeah. So it's again, like, instead of narrative, you can use technique instead.
Yeah.
And that's a nice way to think about making things vanish.
Yeah. And of course you get this added benefit that they see one hand empty, especially if you're using something like the Ramsey subtlety.
Yeah.
You get this hand that is definitely empty, the hand that looks empty because of the technique that you're using. So this cancels the other thing out.
Yeah. Well, that's what it was. It started with this whole thing about the borrowed coin. So having a one coin routine is very nice for a borrowed coin. Sometimes if someone hands me one, I'll see if I can get more from people, because they don't have to match up. If someone gives me then like a 50p or something like that, right? Now I have a trick where you talk about how the 50p is drawn to this coin, right? Now you get coins across. Or now you can talk about how this, when I wave the pound over, it disappears. And then when I wave it over this hand, it comes back.
Yeah.
So coming up with variations, right? Based on what you have when you borrow, based on what you have, it's a good problem to think about, right? It's a good way to think about, like, if I'm, if someone suddenly hands me a prop, what am I going to do with it? Just like if someone's going to hand you a deck of cards, what are you going to do with it? Someone's going to hand you a single coin, what are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
Where can you go?
Yeah,
right, so.
And this is the beauty of coin magic. That a lot of the times it is modular. So if you're handed one coin, you can do a one coin routine. If you're handed 2 coins, you can maybe do something like the Tenkai pennies.
Yeah.
So you've got the ability, depending on what's available to you, to use them to your advantage.
Yep.
So great stuff. Any questions?
One last question.
One more.
We've got. So, do any of your routines use the kickers like bent coins or jumbo coins? We've had a couple of questions along that kind of line.
Yeah.
Do you have any recommendations on where people could start with those?
With jumbo coins? Sure. Jumbo coin work, there's a lot of great jumbo coin work. I didn't bring any of my jumbo coins with me.
Do you want a jumbo coin?
Do you have a jumbo coin? Is it shiny?
It is shiny.
Okay.
Do you want the...
Oh, we've got a choice.
We have got a choice.
Wow.
You can have the big one.
Oh no! I don't need that. I just like a. No, that's perfect. Oh, perfect. This is the one I have. Good. Yeah. So if you can get a good So there's a lot of fun things you do. I would say the Gary Kurtz book is a really good place if you want to start with jumbo coin work. He's got a whole routine in there called. He's got a whole routine there. It looks like magic, doesn't it? It's really.
Flourish.
Florius. He's got one coin. He's got one coin routine that starts with one coin, and that's all the jumbo coins. And then you literally are palming like 2 jumbo coins at once at one certain points, and you're ditching them out, and it's very cool. And so you can do a lot of these Tenkai kind of advantages. But if you really want to hurt people, if you learn his version of the retention pass, where you, the move is this. These fingers. It's like the retention pass that I've been doing. These fingers are gonna curl back. So I can just palm the coin with my thumb, the jumbo coin with my thumb. Now you gotta watch your angles. Obviously this is bad magic, good magic, right? And so what you do is you line up your thumb where your thumb is with your middle finger here. And so that's how I know, so I can point, if I'm pointing at the camera now, I can flash, right? You can see it there. But so if I have a human being, what I do is I aim for the human being's shoulder. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I aim for the shoulder with that line. And so you can do some fun stuff. So if it's literally just about stealing the coin out, David Roth has a great thing about at the end of Flurry, where he takes the last coin out the spectator, and he's stolen the coin, and bam, he's got a coin. But if you start to combine that with the vanishes, you make it small again, it gets big. I know, it's great. It's fun, right? So actually, it's a nice confidence builder too, because I used to carry these around all the time. I don't carry around anymore. I have like 4 of them, which I've set up to do crazy things. Anyway, let's not talk about that. But I would strongly suggest Gary Kurtz's book. I just said it. What was it called?
Florius.
The routine is Florius, but what's the
Unexplainable Acts?
Unexplainable Acts, which is a great book. He's an artistic thinker. There's a lot of great there's a lot of great magic in there, but there's some really good coin magic in there as well. And he teaches this with jumbo retention pass, which bam, you just get that coin, and then bam, it comes back. And that's the great moment where you produce that coin once, and for spectators, you say, "Oh, did you see what happened? I'm sorry. See, the coin was small. See, and then it got big." Yeah. Another person who does a great routine with that is Garrett Thomas. Big Coin, Little Purse, which you can go out there and find in a couple places. I think it's on this 3 DVD set, and that'll really make you feel bad because that's a crazy jumbo coin routine, and I think they're supposed to release it. So it comes with the whole set that you need, because you need special jumbo coins and jumbo coins, and it's just crazy. But you can do like visual stuff, like the coin shoots down, and then you can and string it back up again. You can do all sorts of fun things with this. Whether you're doing takes or it is angly, but once you get that feeling down, the jumbo coin work is good. When I was just starting out as a magician, the way I get my confidence in before I go out to tables, I'd find a mirror, I get my jumbo coin, and I do that, or I just do a vanish, right? Just bam, it's gone, and then comes back. So that's how I was like, oh, that's what real, and I go, oh, that's what real magic looks like, and then I go out and hit tables. So I suggest those sources. Those sources are really good.
Do you do anything with bent coins?
I don't do anything with borrowed bent coins, where you borrow a coin and bend it. I do have bent coins in a routine that I use where if you're looking for an ending to copper silver, a bent coin isn't that bad. Let me show you what I mean.
So guys, keep the reviews coming in, keep the comments coming in, keep the questions coming in as well.
I think that's all the questions from the chat room. So send more if you got them.
Yes.
The lists around.
There we go.
All right, so
we're going next door again.
We're going next door.
He's gone again.
He has. Remember also that the Facebook group is still there. That should appear on the bottom of the screen like magic. Excellent. Okay. So if you have any comments about tonight and you want to ask any questions as well, then please feel free to pop them up on there and we'll get around to answering those as soon as we can. Keep the comments coming in. We like to hear back from you. It makes the feedback of the evening helps us to then plan future academies as well. So that's all important. We good?
Yep.
Excellent.
Yep. All right, so I happen to have here with me a copper coin and a silver coin. You can take a look at them if you want. What's going to happen is this. I'm going to reach in and take out just the silver coin, and all I'm going to do is give a little shake like that. The coins change places. But let's get a little bit more interactive here. Do me a favor, sir. Go ahead and hold out your hand for me. I'm going to give you the copper coin. I want you to squeeze into it tightly for me. Squeeze tight. Turn your hand over. Very good. That leaves me with just the $50. But all I have to do is give it a squeeze, a little rub like that. I end up with the copper coin, and you're going to take a look. You have the silver coin. Now, the thing is, people don't think I can do this twice in a row, but I can try. Actually, you do me a favor. Go ahead and hold out your hand for me. I'm going to give you the silver coin. You squeeze onto it really tight, as hard as you can, tight, tight, tight. So that way, I'm going to try to switch the positions of the coins. I think you're holding too tight. Go ahead and open your hand and take a look. Oh yeah, so you actually bent the coin. That's not, oh well, that's unfortunate. That's okay. That's okay, because if I just let them hang out together again and give that silver coin a little rub on the table, it goes back to being normal. That way I can do this trick for other people. All right, so this is a bent copper silver, and this is something that Curtis played with a long time ago, but I use it all the time now, and it's your extra coin. So a lot of times with copper silver, your extra coin is a bent coin, because you're not going to let them look at it too hard. And really, with this sort of transposition thing, you're going to go for ease here. So the bent coin is just, and then actually because it's bent, you can palm it in a couple of different ways. It actually palms itself. Or if you want to do some clip work, it literally grabs onto your hand. And this is the way that Curtis's original version. I just keep it in finger palm the whole time. So you have a copper coin and a silver coin. I just hold back the copper. So now that the two silvers are talking, I just grab the regular silver, right? And then I just do a Demanche change, which is it's an old change. It's from the early part. It's from the turn of the century. What's going to happen is this coin is going to the coin that's displayed. The coin's in finger palm. So I come back. It's going to go in old-fashioned thumb palm, and then here, and then you just extend the thumb so it pushes onto the coin in finger palm, and that other coin that's in. I mean, it just falls right into place. It's a very mechanical-looking move. Just there. Now, if you do it with a bit of a shake, again, the larger motion covers the smaller motion, right? They see copper coin, silver coin. They both go in the hand, right? Holding back the copper coin, reach in and take out the real silver, and then just give a shake with both hands, right? Symmetry. Now, this is the bent coin, but I'm holding onto the bend so you can't see it, right? Now, this is the hard part. You're going to do a palm-to-palm change, which I haven't talked about in ages. You're going to do a palm-to-palm change with this coin here. This coin's going to go into classic palm. So you have the silver coin, the real silver coin in finger palm. This, as long as it stays there. The copper coin, you're going to ask them to hold out their hand, and as you go towards their hand, the copper coin goes into classic palm, and then you put the silver coin as in finger palm into their hand. Yeah, I'm getting, it's crazy. Yes. Yeah, most people don't do, so this is the way that you would do the classic change. So if you were working on the table, this is David Roth's original, right? Where you'd you'd wiggle your thumbs, and then you do the palm to palm change, right? And the coins would change places. So you're going to put that, so you're putting the silver coin into the person's hand, right? You're showing them the bent silver coin, and all you do is a bobo switch, right? I just like a toss. I'm not going to let them see the bent coin long enough. I'm going to grab it, swing upwards, and toss down, releasing the copper coin. It comes up, goes down. Finger palming the bent coin, rub it up, dub. The coin changes, right? Like that, right? And then now the thing is, anytime you do magic in spectators' hands, they're going to want you to repeat it. They said, can you do that again? It happens with coins, when you make the coins appear in spectators' hands. That happens with transpositions. Like, wait, do that again. So that's what this moment's for. This is for this moment. You say, yeah, I can do it again. And you're going to switch in the bent coins here. The regular two coins are here. I'm going to switch in the bent coin by just doing a utility pass, right? So I'm just going to hold on to the silver coin, toss the copper coin over. Can't really see the bent coin. And again, I'm here. So again, I'm concealing the bend. And I say, here, I'm going to try again. I'm going to give you the silver coin again. You squeeze onto it tight, tight, tight. And they're squeezing on. The idea to squeeze onto it tightly is the idea that they can't really feel the bend.
Yeah.
And if they do, it doesn't matter, right? They're squeezing tight. And you get all these jokes where you're like, it's not changing for some reason. I think you're holding on to it too tight. And what's funny is that most spectators, because they don't trust magicians, they'll hold on and they don't want to open their hands. And you say, no, go ahead, open your hand. And they'll say, no, you're going to do something funny. I'm like, no, I think you're holding on too tight. Take a look. And they open their hand and then they freak out because now it's not a transposition, it's a transformation.
Yeah.
And they sit there and they're like, you can watch them. And I take it back to them and I do this. And the easiest change back, I mean, you can take this and do a vanish and squeeze, right? It becomes a change. that's just what I usually do. But the easiest way to do this is just say, well, it's all right. All you have to do is make sure the bent coin spends some more time with the copper coin. You just do the utility pass back, and it'll go back to being normal again. You get a nice little another extra transformation. Now you can do it for other people, right? You walk away. So it gives a copper silver transposition one extra beat.
Yeah.
So if you think about this, if you're doing a two-top, and you just did the transformation, the transposition in one person's hand, now you do the transformation in the other person's hand.
Yeah.
If you're doing a four-top, you just did magic in the hands of 50% of the audience. That's pretty good numbers.
Yeah.
Now, if you change a card underneath someone else's hand and do something else, you've done magic for everybody at the table, just with a couple tricks. So that's kind of the kind of thing that you think about when you're doing table hopping, I think. But yeah, bend coin's really fun. So that's what I do with it.
Good.
That's cool.
Quick question off the back of that, Andy. Where did you get your jumbo coin from, please?
Oh,
and what kind of coin is it? Is the
I've
question.
had this year's. I got
Yeah.
it from the card collection. I'm afraid, but you can just a bit of searching around. I'm sure that you can get them. I think, and don't hold me to this. I know that on our site we do jumbo 3-inch coins, and I think that some of them are this type.
Good.
Because you get the lower grade ones that are like really they're like dull, and they're cheap. They'll do it, and you can polish them up, and you can even get them plated as well, I believe.
Yeah. But these are nice because these are actually they're a little thinner.
Yeah.
And they also have milled edges.
Yeah.
But I think the guy who makes them doesn't make them anymore.
Right.
So I think so if you can find them out there, Hocus Pocus had them for a while too. But I think nowadays I don't think they have it anymore.
So
what coin actually is yours?
Mine is I think it's $1.
It's a Morgan dollar is what it is.
Right.
Yeah. Because you know your audience is paying attention because I use the barbers with that.
Yeah.
And they'll say, well, the head's facing the wrong way. I'm like, okay, you people are watching way too close.
Yeah.
Well, because when it becomes big, it becomes something they think about, I guess. But yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so I got mine a long time ago also, yeah.
Check them out on the site. If they're not on our website, then I'll see if I can find out some more information and post it in the Facebook group. Okay.
Thank you.
So it is just gone 10 o'clock. It's 10:05.
Okay.
So what would you like to talk about now?
Why don't we finish up with that? And I can talk a little bit about that. Is that okay? Or do you want
That is fine. You mean that?
Yeah, the big guy, yeah.
Ooh, excellent.
I can
Okay.
talk a little bit about the fall shuffle too if you want. Or
yeah.
do you wanna I don't know.
You're cool.
I tell you what, let's have a look at the full shuffle
Okay.
because I think this is great. Are you just going to talk about the shuffle?
Yeah, I'll just talk about the shuffle.
Okay,
so this is this is something I came up with a long time ago. I'll do it while I talk about it actually, just so you can think about it. I saw Mike Close performing a long time ago, and when he was working, this is right at the beginning when he started doing the memorized deck work. And he had a really great false shuffle, and what I liked about it was that oral nature, the oral nature, right? Where you could actually hear that water and see that cascade, that waterfall, the bridge.
Yeah.
And I wanted that sound because I realized that sound generated conviction for lay people. Mm-hmm. Because if you think about it, you see some lay people, they can't even do that, right? But they know that when that happens, the cards are shuffled, and everybody else who knows anybody who can do it knows the cards are shuffled. So I was going to try to create that moment of conviction, not visually, but just mainly for the sound, because that's the version that he was doing. He was actually doing Homer Lee Wags. So this is a push through, full deck control, a false pharaoh. That's what this is. Excuse me. So what you're going to do, this is the original top card of the deck, Ace of Clubs. Push off about 20 cards or so. So the bottom stack is about 30 cards, right? Something like that. You just want the bottom stack bigger than the top stack. You're going to pharaoh, but it doesn't have to be perfect. You just want to make sure that small group goes into the large group, right? Now, you're going to position the cards so that you're positioning your hand so that your index finger is at the far side, your pinky is at the far side, these two fingers, the other two fingers, the second and third finger are in the middle, as is the thumb, at the point where those cards are meeting, right? You're going to push down with your thumb as you pull up with the index finger and pinky. And what that allows is that as you do the bridge, you have complete control over the two halves of the deck. Now this does take a little bit of practice. Oh, you got it?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
Okay, good. Nicely done.
Yeah,
Nicely
that
done.
was
Okay,
really good.
Good. So it takes a little bit of practice, but once you get in that position, you're in this claw grip. You have complete control over the two halves of the deck, even though they are intermingled. So obviously this is bad magic. This is exposed. But if I'm holding the card square, you can't see. You have to come all the way around the back to see this part sticking out, right? So my index finger is going to move first. My index finger is going to push down. I'll expose it here. It's going to push down. Then my thumb, my left thumb, is going to push in, as the left finger is also push in. So you get this. So this is the top half of the deck now sticking out the bottom. Now the problem is that when you faro, you're going to have a lot of cards touching the surface of each other. It actually makes them harder to strip out. So what you're going to do is you're going to do a secret move. There, I did it. I cover the hand. And what you're doing there is that you're accordioning, like as in an accordion, the card. You're going to pull down with the index finger. You see, it actually puts air inside the cards. It doesn't have to be that big, but it's like a whoop, and you just get a little bit of air in it. And what that allows is it allows for those cards to just slide right out, strip out to work. Now, it's weird for me to explain this sitting down because the angles are weird. I usually talk about this. This is like an eye level kind of shuffle when I think about it. And so the strip out is really not a strip out. The way to think about the strip out is at the beginning of a Hindu shuffle. So they're going to see that small packet go to the big packet. They hear the noise, push down with the index finger, push in with the thumb, and obviously as that's happening, as the left hand's doing that, the right hand comes over, helps to square up, but is obviously trying to conceal the packet sticking out the back, right? So you're going to do the strip out, and it's the first part of a Hindu shuffle is the way to think about it. So I get the air in between, whoop, comes out, and now I'm going to do the circular shuffle by Leonard Green. I'm going to take off about half the cards. This is the original top half of the deck. There's that ace of clubs, it's still there. I'm going to take half those cards and hold a massive break. I'm just going to exchange this remaining packet for this packet and drop on top. So if you think about it to speed for an audience, you're talking, you're doing the shuffle, they hear that. The cards look squared up. They see you do like another shuffle, and it's done, right? So it's a great way to do a controlled shuffle.
Yeah.
That you get the sound. There no cards get transposed or get moved around. So one of my ideas behind this is that if you have a memorized deck stack, you can do Triumph with this. You can just by turning over the bottom half. I won't go into it now, but by turning over the bottom half, you can go right into Triumph effect with this using the same method. They see that, they hear that. They see you shuffle cards, so you can see if cards face up and face down, and then whatever card they selected, say, I don't know, the ace of clubs, right? They see packets and packets, but it doesn't matter. All you have to do is give the deck a riffle, and one card turns face up, or all the cards turn face up except for one, which remains face down. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Can we have a quick demo of it with the top card transposed, please? Just
Sure.
so you guys can keep track of the halves.
Sure. All right, so
Thank you.
that's there. Actually, this will make it unmagical because what's happened is you're going to see the ace of clubs go in, and you're going to see it. You're going to see it come out the other side, so that when you see
Lovely.
Complete
Thank
with sound
you.
effects.
yeah, exactly. and think about the nature of your work when you're doing this, because your work could be a little bit louder than mine, it could be softer than mine, it could be more of a whoop. It's up to you. You gotta make this trick work for you. This technique work for you.
Excellent, excellent. I'm so glad you put that on there because I think it's brilliant.
Well, thank
I
you.
really do.
Thank you. No, I love sharing it with people, and if people start to use it, or if people get something useful out of it, that's always the key word for me: usefulness.
Cool.
Anyway.
So I'm going to talk for a little while. Did
Sure.
you want to get set? Did you want to do that?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, excellent. Okay. So guys, please keep the reviews and the comments coming in. I have learned an immense amount this evening, and all the little tips and subtleties and the kind of hows and whys behind the routining. And it's great that you guys are getting questions in because I can sit here and I can ask questions, but we want you asking the questions as well. We want you asking questions that matter to you. And whilst the tutor is here, they can answer that in real time, so you're getting real-time answers, and that will make what you're learning, the experience of what you're learning, maybe maybe a little bit easier to kind of understand and follow. So keep the questions coming in, because we really do appreciate them when you send them in. We've still got comments coming in.
We've got a really lively chat room. It's
Oh,
lovely.
excellent. Okay.
So all I was going to say is, if you're watching back and you're not watching it live, that's what the Facebook group's for. So you can pop your questions in there, and we'll still pick them up.
Excellent. Okay. And remember, you're still in for a chance to win a set of Academy Elites. So the guys out there are all prepared. I'm going to hand you back over to Kainar with the studio audience.
Okay. Like it's them that needs to be prepared. Let me close this evening by showing you one of my favorite tricks. It's not the very first trick I ever learned. It's the first trick I ever saw. It was an old Chinese magician. He had a goblet, and he had a coin. And he could make that coin dance in the back of his fingers like that, and it looked beautiful. But he didn't stop there. He could make another coin appear. Oh, that's right, I have another one. He made coin after coin after coin appear. And I was thinking there, it was the dancing that made them magical, but it was also the fact that I couldn't tell where these coins were coming from. And silver coin after silver coin kept appearing, but then I got to thinking, he's a Chinese magician. Why doesn't he use Chinese coins? Why doesn't Chinese coin after Chinese coin after Chinese coin appear, right? He was using those silver coins. And I realized I was just being racist. Because that means those English magicians would have to use those English pennies, right? And that means English penny after English penny after English penny would have to appear. Whereas, I think the silver coins are much prettier, they're easier to see. I'll show you the last thing he did. The last thing he did is he took that last coin, he blew, he clapped, it vanished. But when it came back, it brought friends. So this is obviously a self-working effect. All right, I'll come back and I'll talk about it.
So what I love about this effect is that this brings us full circle, because this, if memory serves me correctly, was a technique that you shared on Palms of Steel 1.
Yes, the very first Palms of Steel. Yeah.
So there's a coin that has
magically
appeared on the table.
Thank you very much. Yes. Thank goodness.
We're going to look at this in some detail. A specific technique that you're using, which I think is amazingly disarming.
Yes, and so one of the first things I came up, this is a move I came up with. Like I said, I've been rolling coins for a long time, right? Mm-hmm. And when I actually started doing magic, I wanted to be able to come up with a way to roll coins, and yet be ahead of my audience, right? So I want to be able to walk around, and because there's if you can roll coins, you are one of three things. You are a gambler looking for a game, right? You're a supervillain hatching a plot, right? Because they all do it. I don't know why, they all do it. Or you're a magician and you're there to entertain. And so I wanted the idea of I could walk around a party and be, here I am and I'm here to do work. I'm here to work for people. Probably the loud tie with all the cards on it probably clued them in as well, but that's beside the point. So what I came up with was this idea that I could palm coins, hold out palming coins while rolling them. And what was invented is the steeplechase discrepancy. I did not get, Curtis gave it the name, steeplechase discrepancy. Because here's what it is. So when you roll a coin, right, you go 1, 2, 3 in between each of those knuckles, right? The discrepancy, the palming wise, it's actually very simple. You're just gonna finger palm any other coins you want to conceal. And now instead of you go 1, 2, 3 with a regular hand, with the other hand you're just going to go 1. You're going to skip the middle one, 2. So you have to learn another way to roll, but you just skip. That's 1, 2. That's it. So it's a discrepancy, right? And so when I came up with this, I was really nervous. I was like, people are going to notice. And so the way I would block it was that I'd roll like this, and I'd come down and I'd bring this hand, because this hand has to come get the coin, right? So what I would do is I'd time it so that this hand goes right in front of that moment where they would see the coin, where they potentially see the coin not roll. And then I'd quickly determine that no one cares. No one can see the discrepancy. Now, if you're anal retentive like me, if the coin is heads facing me right now, and you go 1, 2, 3, you bring it back up again, it'll be heads again. If you're skipping one, it only comes up 1, 2, it comes at tails again. It makes me angry, but I'm okay. Because you get this. So this is what I do. So this is how I do so this is basically how that routine works. So the method is do it with both hands while palming 18 coins. That's it.
Simple.
Simple as that. So, you just gotta, and the funny thing is one guy asked me, well, how do you know what coin's coming next? And when you're standing there, I mean, you're literally just staring at them, that's the problem for you. It's just, it looks a little precarious, but you can basically see the coins there, right? And so it's just very easy for you to look down in your hand and figure out, oh, there it is, right? Mm-hmm. So, it's going to be a Chinese coin next, right? So that's it.
Right. That's okay. It. So a couple of questions about this. So you're doing the coin roll.
Yes.
And then it's going to skip over here. And when we were talking about the steeplechase earlier on, you mentioned about gravity. I guess that this is a big factor here.
Gravity is a big factor here because you really can't move your fingers that much because you're palming a stack of coins. Yeah. So you have to move them just a little bit. And it is that gravity that's allowing the fact. It's not so much about propelling the coins, it's about catching the coins. Yeah. That's why you have to think about that shift when you train down. Yeah. Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
And when you're affecting the coin change, I mean, this would be a great way of practicing this. I think the actual change element itself.
Oh yeah. So if you're rolling coins like this, and the reason why there's a famous little bit in Bobos where Goshman has a sun and moon coin, mm-hmm. and he says roll the sun and moon coin, so they're convinced it's a real coin, and they're convinced that there's nothing else in your hand. I'm like, I'm not doing that with my really expensive sun and moon. I don't care who said it, Goshman. But if you do this, people are pretty much convinced that if you can roll the coin, they're convinced you don't have anything else in your hand. Yeah. But if you're rolling the coin and you want to change it, the Chinese coin.
Wow.
You do that, right? And so you can just go all day with this. So that's there. You just keep going. So I'm just rolling the other coin, right? But I just do a little bit of a misdirection by bringing the hand up, right, and just push the other coin out.
Okay, so as the coin in this hand is going under, as if you were going to continue with the roll.
Exactly, as if you're going to come up and get it. Yeah. Yeah. So you're by doing this initial motion, you're conditioning the audience, right? So that the idea that the transfer has to be the same coin, right?
Yeah. And this looks just as good on this side, by the way, right? And if you guys are seeing this at home, and I know Sarah's watching it from the table just there, and you're looking at it from the front, this looks just as amazing from my side view here.
Really? Well. It does? Oh, good. Yeah. Well, you are, because it's a left hand that's palming the coin. You would be in a very good position. I mean, a good position to be fooled. Yeah.
Do you find with the, I know that we were talking about the size of coins earlier on, do you think that learning how to do the coin roll is easier with larger coins, or is it really just dependent on the coins that you're comfortable with?
Depends on the coins you're comfortable with. For instance, I'm just going to grab, so I had a pound coin, which is going to be hard to, and it's really about that distance, right? Yeah. So figure out that distance. So for instance, does anybody out there have $1 on them?
Yes.
Or do you have $1?
Yeah.
Because $half are pretty much the best size for me. The half crown size, I can do the half crown size. $1 is harder for me. The dollar, I knew if I was going to convert over to dollars that it's a little bit too much space between it falls. Yeah. I really got to come up and get it. Yeah. But I was thinking about switching to dollars at times. I'm like, well, I'm not going to be able to roll the coin as much. Yeah. And that's what I like doing. Yeah. I don't know if that's a good reason or not, but I'd literally have to learn a different way to roll coins because it's just harder to control.
Yeah. I think for the discrepancy part of it, you would think that the dollar would be better because it's got less of a gap to travel.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
But then you are lacking the rest of the flow of the flourish of the steeplechase.
Exactly, the speed. Yeah, you're gonna miss that. You're gonna miss out on that rhythm. Yeah, definitely.
Are there any? We were talking yesterday, and I asked you. We were saying, or I was saying to you that obviously your magic is designed primarily for standing up. Not necessarily with a table. Yep. Do you have any work on tabletop plots like coin through table or matrix or anything like that?
I don't work with matrix a lot. Mainly, I mean, this is the walk around person talking because I never have enough space to do a matrix. Usually on a tabletop, right?
Yeah.
So that's one of those things. I like it. I like a lot of the effects. Some of them are very magical, but I just don't. It's not one that I really wanted to. Dean Dill did so much work on it.
Yeah.
I don't really need. I don't really want. It's like I don't feel the need to really work on it because I don't. I want to be up here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the walk around guy. I'm thinking. Sitting down, no, my favorite version of Coins to Table is a stand-up version.
Right.
So that's what makes me happy. So yeah, Curtis Cam has a really great to the table that's usually seated. And so what I did was I took his and made it so that you could do it stand-up.
Right.
And that makes me happy. So yeah, so I don't do a lot of seated work. I really feel uncomfortable sitting while doing my magic.
Okay.
Actually, I'd much rather be standing in front of a table doing it. That's my comfort zone in terms
Right.
of personally. I mean, that's just me personally. Yeah.
So let me just have a quick check on something. Oh wow, we're good. So this worked particularly well last time, or we could talk about that. That would be we could talk about that.
I was just going to talk to people at home. No, I was hoping you would notice. That would be like just talking like. Yeah, no. One other thing that I always like to talk about a little bit is because most people don't know about it, but if you're just starting out with palms, there are a lot of different palms that most people don't know about. We already talked a little bit about the Harada grip. Comes out of Japan, right? Where you've got this thing back here, and you're literally holding on to it, right? So you can get the twist with the wrist. But that's not just resting back there. It's actually you're palming it. You're palming it, right? Another grip that I use a lot is called Mutobe palm. It has a lot of interesting applications. It's a thumb palm. It's really more like an angle palm, but you can rotate. So the hand actually is flat. Now right now this is bad magic. But if I turn the side, now I have a flexible hand, right? And again, so the camera's right there. So the line I draw is from my thumb to my third finger. So now I can flex right here and not worry about flashing. And because the thumb is distanced from the hand, it doesn't look like you could possibly conceal anything there. You can do a lot of crazy things with this. My favorite one is I'll be vanishing coins. I'll say, well, you've been seeing coins like appear and disappear, right? But if I was a real magician, I wouldn't have to do that, right? All I have to do is clap and they'd all vanish, right? Or they'd all vanish and clap, they'd all come back. So, boom. Yeah, there, boom. Yeah. So that's what it looked like, right? And you're just literally taking the whole stack here. With one coin, if you've ever known the Raven, I wanted to come up with a version of the Raven without the hookup. So what I did was this. You're just going to wave your hand over the coin. It's going to disappear. Right? You're going to wave, it comes back. Now that's just there's multiple variations to this. What's going to happen is this. I'm pushing the coin down. In my original write-up, I love gravity, but nowadays I'm just lazy. I literally just contact the coin with the base of my thumb as if I was going to be doing like a matrixy sort of thing, right? Or a ching, right? And I just push the coin down a little bit, so it comes right here. So it's between my index finger and third finger. So I pull down with the third finger so the coin goes up in the air, and that puts it right in position for Mutobe palm. So I can pull back. So, fully exposed. From the front. Now, if you want to get weird with this, go down with Mutobe palm, come up, flex, let the coin go into JW grip. Coin falls right into Mutobe palm again. Or coin goes back, Mutobe palm, hand turns over, drop the coin back into that position where you can palm it, toss in the air. Oh, see, I'm getting a little sticky right now. It's a little warm in here. There, and you can catch it. You just literally you have it back there, and you just toss it in the air and grab it. So yeah. I'm sorry. I was just going to taunt the people at home. Okay, now you caught me. So yeah. So I think it's a good idea to think about different palm positions. There are a lot of them out there. Most people don't know about all. I don't know about all of them. I know that there's some up and coming ones that look pretty cool, have some interesting applications actually. So people are still finding new and different ways to conceal coins. So, yeah.
It's like anything in magic, and especially with coin magic, go out and play and investigate and have a look. Take what you've learned tonight and mess around with it. This is part of the joy of these kind of learning experiences, is that the information is put before you. If you don't want to do the routine as is, then maybe mess around with it and see what else you come up with, and ask questions as well, which is something that I've encouraged this evening, and you guys have not let me down, and you've asked the questions, which is great, because it's showing that you're obviously thinking about what you've seen, which is amazing. I think to finish up, we should have a quick fire question round. Does that sound good? No?
Do I ask the questions or answer the questions?
Have we got questions that we can do in quick fire?
Well, we've been through all of the ones that we've had on the Facebook group. We normally ask, we've got a couple that we ask people often, which are around book recommendations, favourite books.
Okay.
Okay,
so favorite book. So I already mentioned Unexplainable Acts, which is really great. Mm-hmm. It's a really it has a lot of good general magic in it. The Steel and Silver, Paul Gertner book. That's one that most people don't look at, but that has some very interesting coin stuff in it, and a lot of great material in it. Great cups and balls routine in it as well. The Derek Dingle book, Complete Works of Derek Dingle, is another one of my favorites. That's a really fun book. That was one of my first real magic books, like really serious magic books. And I thought everybody just did like crazy, had variations on riffle passes, and I thought, wow, cards are really tough, and he has there's so much fun stuff in there, as well as some fun coin tricks. The Showtime at the Tomfoolery is one of my favorite books, because it's, there are not a lot of books, that and like the Magic by Gosh. Those are two of the books that really show like a full act. And and obviously the Showtime at the Tomfoolery really kind of does a great job of by the second, right? You have the minute second counts, like what exactly happened, so you realize how put together that show was. Yeah. And so that is a really great lesson in thinking about structure, organization. That's all I can think of off the top of my head right now, but I'm sure later I'll be, I should have said this, I should have said that, I should have said this. Yeah, but anyway.
Favorite DVDs? Videos?
DVDs. I'll say again that older set from Garrett Thomas is a great set, and in the mind of Garrett Thomas. Inside the mind of Garrett Thomas, and the old Rune Klan. Rune Klan's book is also another good book. Yeah. But the Rune Klan, the old VHS that I think now is a DVD, where you see this young Rune Klan running around, and he's got some really great coin material in there that's very Abbey normal, it's not like a lot of other people do their magic. And the other person I think to look at is the Jacopo Bertini. He has the book, but he also has a DVD. And just to see that there's a lot of people who have developed their coin magic that looks a lot different from everybody else's. Yeah. And Giacomo's definitely looks different, and Rune's looks a lot different from other people's. And so, yeah.
So System for Amazement is the Bertini book. Okay. And Three Pieces of Silver, I think, is Rune Klan's DVD.
Yep.
Okay.
They're brilliant.
Magician who inspires you the most?
I think Mullica really did a lot because of structure. He fooled me the worst, I think, of all magicians. If you watch Mullica, you don't watch Mullica for technique, right? No. You watch it for entertainment. Like even though I know what's happening, that Stevens Magic DVD that he did a long time ago that has most of his act is really hysterical. But you're watching him do like the first opening, he messes up the first trick, and he just keeps going, and you're just watching somebody who knows how to do that work. But he fooled me the hardest, and it was in. I realized in the Showtime at the Tomfoolery that he did. He said because it's in the Stevens thing as well. He's just kind of talking. He's doing some magic, and all of a sudden he just stops and he tells a joke. Yeah. And I was like, it was just such a great moment. It felt so natural. It was just sharing this moment, and then he just kind of moved on. I was like, that's great. And then I picked up the book and I saw that the joke is scripted. Like it's there for that moment. I was like, he fooled me. Because I just thought it was so natural. I just thought that's where it was. This is just a professional working. He knew that he would put a joke here. That's why he did it. No, he's a professional because he knew he could put a joke there because he's always done it. Yeah. And that to me was, that was inspiring to like know your act so well that you have the beats down. That this is a moment where I can step back, kind of chat with people, and then go into it forward again a little bit more. Everybody loves Dave Williamson. because he's crazy. I love him because I didn't know he was crazy. I just had the Williamson book, Williamson's Wonders, and I just thought he was a technician. And there's so much stuff. If you read the coin magic in there, you read the card material in there. I mean, that's a lot of good working material.
Yeah.
And so I've always been inspired by that book. And then when I finally saw him, I was like, this guy's crazy. And I like to see him crazy, but I like to see the technique as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, Curtis Can, because I grew up around him. I'm good friends with Garrett Thomas. He inspires me all the time with his material. I'm probably forgetting someone who's going to cry now because I can't remember their name, but I'm just, I'm hungry.
We can drop it in later.
Yeah,
okay.
We can drop it in
okay,
later.
good. These are the rest of my favorite people here.
That's a big scroll bar. Excellent. Okay. If only we had that.
I love you all. I love you all.
So, one more to finish up.
We've had a couple, and someone's asked, could you please give a quick run through of your DVDs and books and material that you've released if people are interested in learning more? It's a genuine question. It's not a plug, actual question.
Why, I'd love to. Hey, look, I happen to have them right here. Excuse me. So Table Hoppers Quattro, that was the routine with the 4 coins. I go into that routine a lot more. I teach in-depth version of that fingertip muscle pass. So that's there. It's part of the Kainoan coin set. We didn't even talk about 3-fly tonight. 3-fly is a very popular trick. I've always had issues with it, but I found a presentation that made it work for me. So that's why I call it 3Y, because it really is about creating conviction. Coming up with ways to present things to your audience that would be that makes it meaningful. So you start with something that's a trick. The pattern starts with talking about the difference between a trick and illusion, and that pattern is what made the 3-fly. Obviously, it's a different technique for 3-fly. I also go through the push through steel in that as well. Trifecta is another one part. This is a 5-disc series right now. I just found out, by the way, I just got an email that there's another disc I didn't know about that's being in the works right now. There's actually 2 more discs. I forgot that we filmed. So, but Trifecta came out most recently. It is 2 full routines. It's not just one trick. It's 2 full routines. Coins appear, they disappear, they reappear, they do something, and then they vanish again. And a lot of the difficult stuff and a lot of the easy stuff you have here, because one routine is the one that I came up with very early on in my career. The other one I came up more recently, and so you can see the difference in the techniques.
Uh-huh.
So that's Trifecta. This we don't get. We didn't even get to Conforming Dailies Last Twins, which is a packet trick, but that's okay. It's out there. People have seen it. Inferential is another one of the Kainoan coin sets. Inferential is a self-working copper-silver trick. It's really good. So if you can all you have to do, you don't even have to palm anything. It's one of the few self-working tricks. It actually has 3 different routines on here. And then and then Imagination Holding Coins, which I haven't talked about at all. I think I talked about it once during this whole trip. Imagination Holding Coins is a way to vanish coins with spectator interaction. And it's also a lesson in how that interaction can be done so that the spectators are, you bring a spectator up and you vanish coins with them, and they end up holding these invisible coins. They never touch your coins. Right. So it's a great lesson in audience control. It's also a great lesson for me. We got rid of all the misbehaving, so I'm all sold out of misbehavings. That would be the other thing that I would usually show at this point. I usually open. It was actually what I did in the sequence that we filmed earlier.
Yeah.
That was yesterday.
Yes.
That was yesterday.
Yeah, that was yesterday.
I was like trying to think, was that this morning? I'm like, I guess it feels like it's for. I can't tell time anymore. That is a very fast production and vanishing of coins. This slows everything down. This is how you vanish coins slowly. And I usually follow misbehaving with this routine because it's like back, and then okay, let's go a little bit slower.
Yeah.
You get a little more dramatic, and that's what I use that routine for. So this is the Kainoan coin set. It's a 5 DVD set. You can get it at magicofkainoa.com. You can get it at your favorite dealer, so it's out there. All this stuff's out there.
Whoever that
there we go.
Yeah, whoever that may be. Yes, that's right.
Whoever that may be.
That's right.
Excellent. Okay. So I think we're pretty good, yeah?
We're good.
Excellent. Just before I say some final words, have we got a winner for this evening?
We have a choice. So we have 10 amazing reviews. I'll make sure you can read them all afterwards. But can you pick a number between 1 and 10, please, to pick our winner?
4.
Okay, number 4 is Phil Craven.
Phil Craven, congratulations, Phil. If you could email into sales@alakazam.co.uk just your address, and I will send you out a set of Academy Elites in the post. It only leaves me to say, wow, what an amazing evening. I have got some amazing tips myself out of this evening. I know you guys have. It's been a powerhouse of ideas. It really has. Lots of great tips, great hints. And like I said earlier on, the whys for your approach to what you're doing as much as the hows. So I think on behalf of everyone here, it's been a great evening. So thank you, Kamala, for coming along and doing an academy with us.
Sure.
Guys, the chat room is closed for this evening, but we do have the Facebook page. So if you have any questions and you're watching this after you didn't make it live tonight, then please post your questions on there, and we will jump on there and we will answer them and get back to you. If you have any other questions, then by all means give us a call in the shop or email into sales@alakazam.co.uk. Just a couple of quick thank yous before we leave. Thank you to Sarah for manning the chat room, as always. Thank you. Thank you to our studio audience. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you to the amazing Chris on camera. To Nadina for sitting through this evening, as you've done all tours. So, and also the man at the moment, Carnoa Harbottle, for coming along and doing an academy with us this evening. Thank you so much.
Sure thing. Thank you.
Brilliant.
Thanks for having me.
Guys, we'll see you next time on the Alakazam Academy.